already getting things kicked off with the Lancer side roster. It's going to be Sobez, Lucan, Jakey, Kaz, and Banson. Absolutely disgusting players already going ahead, starting out their season really hot, being 2-0 here as we get into things.
Yep, and on the other side, the underdogs here, Fanshawe Fuel, composed of, drumroll please, Slippery, Boyce, Walk, Jakey G, and Mink, who currently are 0-2, but they had a close matchup, so it's neat. But this does show how, kind of flip-floppy, wish-washy Lancer Gaming is, and it can depend on what team we're going to see tonight. And as you can see, Lancer Gaming, understanding Icebox is not one of their strong suits, understanding it is a strong suit for Fuel, or sorry, they're going to go ahead and ban that right out the gate.
And making sure that's not even really a property here on the field, all things considered. And even going for a little bit different in terms of the map picks overall, considering the ice box kind of feels like that standard, like what we see in Sunset, like we would see Innocent to some degree, which will only be decided if we get around to it. But obviously, you're trying to knock this thing out fast. You're trying to go ahead and get home. You're trying to feed yourself pretty early here tonight and get yourself into a 2-0 lead. But already looking at the split and the bind start, that's what really starts to screen to me. Because, I mean, out of all the maps that are available inside the pool, obviously, you have the triple site map, which is going to be that Lotus already going ahead and getting knocked out. But everything else, like
this out, and they had to transition to the Gecko on Lotus. So the fact that it was so much of a success there that they're bringing out on Split, I think speaks volumes to the effectiveness we might see from it.
I think Gecko has a lot of possibilities to kind of just excel anywhere in any kind of map. Considering, I mean, initiators are all encompassing to some degree. The only one you really find some restraint on is going to be Sova, who excels in those kind of long range areas, with that dart being the one thing that actually recovers. If you don't have too many onside angles or really capitalize off the back of that, you're going to go for something different, which they're all so darn strong, you really just pick your poison. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. But with the other initiator on the other side of the field going to be Lancer Gaming, looking at that breach, looking at that sky, the other two to just kind of go ahead and combo that thing. And even then looking at the aggression of how that's really going to be a catalyst to the rest of the squad of what they can do to get on these sides, because they're already kind of peeking up towards the middle of the map, seeing what the information they can find themselves, and just waiting for this boat to go down to see what kind of avenue opens itself up. And obviously they're going to learn that B may not be the best idea when they run into that trademark.
Yeah, I mean, then on the side of Fanshawe Fuel, right? Yes, their mid hold is this strong, but they're putting all their eggs in one basket. So if you see this Cypher, like if we see these players be main, decide to go somewhere else, it could pose a different outcome. For now, though, not the case scenario here. First blood being drawn. That Gecko no longer a factor in this round. But in the meantime, they're going to try and flood towards where this rotation of the spike is into A. Going to try and pinch these players, but Slippery, being quite slippery, a 2-frag off of the paint shell, off of the frenzy.
30 seconds left.
Despite this, though, the two players remaining have slipped their way into the A site. Might even be able to at least secure a plant on the pistol.
You already see Jakey sitting over the strike click on that classic, knowing it is just nearly as busted as what a shorty can be if those shots line up correctly. But already letting that spike go down, letting those audibles play out, you get to see what this retake looks like from the likes of Fanshawe Fuel. You can already see the setup coming back from the attacking sides on. Process going ahead and occurring. You know players already going to be on site, but it comes down to what's really going to happen. Knock out the player on site, force that Cypher to go ahead and walk out and panic to have to fight everybody else. And it's a 1v3 situation you really just can't.
Yeah, and I will point this out now. Slippery, no matter if they are winning or losing, they have been at the top of the leaderboard on this duelist role in the past few weeks for Fanshawe Fuel. So that's somebody to keep an eye on. Another thing to keep an eye on, though, is Boyce, right? Chamber. I feel like we don't see it too much recently, especially on Split, but maybe they're leaning into the buffs. They're going to be leaning into the Outlaw here, too, as their weapon of choice for this buy-up. And it's just like they got all the boxes ticked. They got the powerful weapons with the Bulldogs. They got the close range with the Bucky. They got the long range with the Outlaw. And I can't wait to see which one is going to get a chance to shine with Lancer Gaming heading towards the B-side pretty directly.
I love these teams that go ahead and kind of don't really fully allocate themselves. They kind of take it a little bit slow. They have one player on the pistol to pick something up.
Oh.
Stray, but already, speaking of Stray, you're seeing Stray nades, Stray bullets, all moving towards this B side as fast as humanly possible. And Lance are able to kind of take this thing for free, it feels like.
Yeah, but they are not happy with just that. They know that they're going to get flooded on the retake. They know these better weapons are going to make quick work of them. So they're aggressing, trying to re-leverage that Outlaw here on that long hallway into CT. But Slippery aware of this, using their own bomb bot as protection here and leveraging this raise kit. Beautifully, the flash comes in late from Mink, but the trade does not. While it's a little bit messy, the bonus comes through. 2-0 in favor of Fanshawe Fuel.
Great setup there from Fanshawe to just go ahead and find themselves on the retake, but still, I mean, you knew that was kind of going to be the result nonetheless at the end of the day, but making so many sacrifices in the meantime, dropping 3 players just to get that result is going to be a little bit difficult. They have to go ahead and decide which guns are going to be the most expensive to carry on over. That's why we're looking at the Outlaw, because it's going to be so utterly disgusting if we see any of these players go for half shield. But knowing the money's there, knowing both the plants have been there, they have the money, the allocation to go ahead and buy themselves those full shields, knowing that gun's going to be in the play. And you cannot have half shields, because even then, it's just like an operator, and it fires 2 bullets basically simultaneously. So going ahead, getting that one out the way, you want to look at what else we have here being provided by Fanshawe to kind of make things relatively expensive. That's going to be the showstopper. You talked about Slippery, you talked about the impact player. We're going to be seeing these ultimates available a lot, and they can really kind of turn a wrench into these plans so long as you find the timing from them. But being towards the A site, you don't see anybody just yet. Say you see a lot of shots in mid, trying to make their transition somewhere else.
Yeah, nice shot off, but even with the Skyner, Lancer Gaming keeping it a part of the repertoire, likely for that regrowth, so that duelist still has the capabilities to entry here, either into A Heaven or B Heaven, wherever they may choose. The Guiding Light's going to give an indication of B Heaven, but Walk able to drop them in an instant, so it's going to try and go for the trade, but that's not going to happen either, so all of these rifles starting to fall on the side of Lancer Gaming.
You then go ahead, smoke things up, give yourself some space to work with, and give these 2 players a rifle to work with in their own. And it's almost like the entire team is on a full buy round. They're just lacking a little bit of armor, but you couldn't care less because you were the one that had the Outlaw in the first place. Gotta look for Jakey here coming through the flank. Gonna come over the top, and boy, ready for it a little bit to get that singular shot off, but it comes out to the rest of the team. What can they do in a 3v1 situation? Luke trying to just kind of survive, keep things rolling with the spike in hand, can't get that plan off. You got to make sure the real estate is given to you, and they are just not giving that up. A 3rd round for Fanshawe. This is an outstanding showing from the squad, showing some new signs of life here, starting off week 3.
I couldn't have put it better myself. I mean, they get the weapons handed over to the players to now flood into that site, isolate the players around Pillar, and then you have Lucan as the last remaining. And now, Voice has upgraded that Outlaw into the Operator. It's probably still going to be actually repositioned from mid now to a main, which is exactly where this pressure is coming from. And I hope we don't see a repeat of that B exec fast where they couldn't get out of dodge, but now they're flashed, the rendezvous out. Raze has already taken ramp control, so they have to reposition.
Last spike already coming in, you know, the players up there towards ramp, and then the Raze is allocated back to the middle of the map, so they're pushing with this retake and when Slippery's going to take place. And honestly, you couldn't care less. You're already seeing so much of the round so far, where that exact as you mentioned, that pass is coming through. That won't work in the first couple rounds. Fanshawe, they know it just a little bit better, and they can just chop up house in nearly a flawless manner, but you're not really worried about Slippery too much. He's already done his due diligence and is able to compensate.
I mean, Jakey G definitely doing their due diligence. 3K, you know, switching between the Vandal and the Deeg as required to hold down that ramp's control. And I mean, I want to see Voice in the right place at the right time and still find impact with that Operator, but so much of this utility coming in. I mean, the double initiator, you're flashed, you're mollied, you have to be consistently moving. It does make that chamber nerf kind of hard to navigate around when you have a single anchor point that may also be affected by that utility. This time around, though, looks like Lancer Gaming trying to step up their play style, trying to sell potential fake here on B main while the spike is headed. They're still deciding, but that Gecko presence B main kind of pushed the Raze back a little bit. And now it's actually an over rotation on the side of Fanshawe Fuel.
This is just a massive spread coming from a lot of Lancer Gaming. Obviously, just kind of looking for anything that's going to be given to them. Quite frankly, you don't really know how much is going to be given up. You know the Operator's going to be over there towards screens. Yeah, look for possibly another avenue, and even then that crowd already going ahead and showing that towards heaven. That's where you're going to see a little bit of pressure. You're not going to go ahead and just fake the smoke. When Luke hits a shot like that, that's something you can't fake either. Honestly, that's more of a miracle, I would say. Something like that is not what you see every day.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say they're still 5 seconds away from dark cover, and
oh my god!
Right before another smoke comes into play, Kaz drops Walk, so maybe this is the team of lucky shots that were coming alive later. Regardless, Slippery still alive, still with the showstopper. I was gonna say Jakey alive with the Thrash, but they've been dropped by the lurk that they were aware of, and now a 4v2. It'll be interesting to see if they decide to invest the showstopper when there's so many players still alive and so spread out.
I mean, just gotta see really how this thing plays out. I mean, Lancer, they found themselves such a solid start, already knocked down so many players just without any kind of hesitation or even resistance is what we're really looking for out of Fanshawe. And they provided it so far, but this may be the first round they have to go ahead and kind of just cut their losses and look to just retreat with their tail tucked between their legs, or at least just specifically for Mink. So, gotta see what's gonna be happening there. You know the next round's gonna go underway. It's gonna be Lancer getting onto the board with a couple ultimates to kind of back themselves off of, and Fanshawe, I'm sure, are gonna use a couple of those in that to see what they can secure for themselves. But Lancer, I mean, seeing how they were kind of getting hit in those first couple rounds, already with a 4-0 start, I was expecting Lancer. I was waiting for that wake-up moment to see that 2-0 team really come to life. And those first two shots, good God, I know what their potential can really be now.
And I praise Mink for having the kind of mentality to go for that operator, to save it, knowing it's a defensive kind of anchor point here for the squad. I'm hoping that isn't kind of a sign of a fall from grace, though. That first round now going in favor of Lancer Gaming, who was favored going into this matchup based on their record, based on their dominance over the Carleton sister teams. But for now, Thrash narrowly missing Jakey, so they can live to fight another day off this trapped wire. While the fuel being added to the fire here over towards the B side, towards B main. Showstopper for Showstopper. Neither Ray is finding their mark, but Slippery, worse for wear in terms of HP. Not worse for wear, though, in terms of frags. The neural theft, though, confirming information, allowing these players on site to take their fights as they may. And so almost clutched it up completely on their own for the team. But a 1v1 as the Cosmic Divide is the perfect cover for the operator, the perfect cover for Jakey to get the clutch in that second round for Lancer Gaming.
The push coming through right there. I mean, just a little bit shaky, but I mean, there's nothing you can really kind of at least go for that just seems warranted to a certain degree, especially in a 1v1. Everything feels so kind of nitty gritty. You just got to really go for it at the end of the day. And already, you knew that Gray mark was up there towards heaven still. You don't really want to give up too much. You're just going ahead, pushing for the angle. But even then, just kind of not waiting at that lane is a little bit wild for me. But boys wanted to go for it. Knew that, okay, I'm sitting here down on the board. I want to go ahead and show my team what I'm made of. Go ahead and pitch in because we're looking pretty good so far, which, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let your team swing. Let them kind of play the game, and you just hold your angles and anchor down as sights as best you can. But sitting so far here with another exec kind of going through a little bit slower, but much more kind of a lot of emphasis pushing up towards that heaven area of the map. You know A's going to be the take here, and with Luke already finding that first pick, you know that an entire side of the map's more than likely clear by now.
I've got your trail.
Yeah, and being able to clear out this much space on the side of Lancer Gaming saves that Rolling Thunder for a post plan, but may not be able to worry about it if you kill everybody before you plant.
Yep.
Only 2 players now remaining, thanks to Jakey taking care of that flank. Beautifully waiting now. Boyce is in screens for the rotation from the Astra to join them here now in this heaven take attempt. The flash is perfect though for Luke, and unless it blinds them themselves, they can't take the exchange, but the fault line concuss is improved, is even better now. So they're able to find Walk, leaving Boyce now just to go for economy damage. Finds Kaz looking for more. Luke N though wants their clip. They want this multi-frag montage and decide maybe they're better off. Boyce is holding them this angle pretty well versus we can go on a hunting party elsewhere where they may not expect it.
Just looking to go ahead, hold things back towards spawn, see what players want to overextend and just kind of cut them off the block, but that's not really going to be the case here. Boyce holding onto that gun, carrying it on to the next. The biggest thing here I want to say for Fanshawe going forward and seeing what we've noticed in the past couple rounds, at least the last 3 that they've lost here in a row, kind of warrants, yeah, that timeout to come through. Love to see teams kind of have that resilience.
I mean, now that the Rolling Thunder's online, it kind of perpetuates that wave that you were talking about, but maybe towards a more directive part of the map. But if you are Fanshawe Fuel, I don't know what you might be talking about. Maybe like the over-rotation that's been occurring. I mean, I believe the one round where they got the B site clutch was because they had kind of left that Pseudo Sentinel, specifically the Astra Walk, had gone into CT. So then they all had to reflood back in when a neural theft was online, when, you know, the Razes were dueling with their showstoppers. But for now, it looks like it's going to be a different type of Raze duel. This time, a Mosh and a Judge here. Gonna clash, but Kaz still comes out on top, barely 16 HP, so probably gonna try and pair back up with the Sky, which they're successful with, but Mink right there to punish, to ensure that it does not become a deeper issue. I want them to retreat though now. There's 3 people about to swarm if they solo swing this, and that ultimate is priceless.
Yeah, Mink really just cannot give up their life here, considering, I mean, what's at stake. You already knew the Lancer Gaming player has gotten a couple or a little bit of their health will diminish, and it's going to be that Sky, thankfully, because everybody else can just go ahead and get it healed off. But knowing that, well, there was players back towards mid, you know that, okay, nobody's really overextended yet. Let's at least have a player back towards A. That's where you got what's just kind of holding things down, making sure to kind of be, I can be that solo guy who holds out on this. And even then, the breach still being towards that upper mid. You know that the rotation is there. This is a little bit risky, I want to say, from Lancer Gaming. Understanding the breach is there. It's more likely going to be 2 players here, especially that trademark going off. They want to take the site with the number advantage, quite frankly, the side of Fanshawe considered. It's still a 3v2, but regardless, it's still numbers nonetheless. Have all 3 players set up here now. You know there's no time for a rotate at this point in the game. You get all 3 players set up to come and get things done with that Rolling Thunder being employed and still no players really there on site to capitalize off of it. You're just delaying as much as you can.
I mean, the timer had 18 seconds left on it, so not enough time. But on the side of Fanshawe, Fuel, a little bit of a flood and rushed because, as you mentioned, they wanted just to deny the spike plant, but that isolates the players, isolates Walk in the 1v3, and Jakey, who has been on top of things here, showing that they might have the dip over the Fanshawe Fuel counterpart as they quickly climb up the leaderboard and are now sitting on a 9-4.
This is what we're having to look at here. I mean, already, I wouldn't say Fanshawe haven't gotten too big for their shoes, but still, just kind of as things start off this week, they probably had that illusion of being bigger than what they really are. The snowball effect is they just kind of keep on rolling, and they're saying 4-0 start. This is outstanding. We got to keep this thing going. Just kind of keep on running them over. But some teams just don't really fall victim to momentum, quite frankly. And Lancer Gaming, looking at their tenacity over the course of the season so far, they don't seem to be one of those teams. Sure, you can look at it for Icebox. We're on a completely different map. We are looking to kind of keep things even. So with them having the rifles in hand, two of those rounds for Fanshawe were pistol rounds, keep in mind. Or at least an advantage off of that. You're looking at rifle rounds now, and it is all Lancer from what we can tell so far until you finally switch.
Sure. I mean, these surprise eco strategies have been Fanshawe Fuel's kind of forte. And now they have Spike. They thought they had spiked down, and they were holding on to this mid control. But again, it's Jakey kind of open up the round, open up the site, and knowing there's been no forward pressure from Rams or the A site thanks to that spike can, it should be relatively safe passage. They probably assumed that was an eco round all in on the side of Fanshawe Fuel, and they can beat them there on the terms of the rotation. Now, Mink, the question is, do they challenge out of this dark cover alone? No. They have Raze. They have Slippery there in their back pocket.
Spike planted.
They're going to wait for the rest of the team. Loving this play. Wait for the Astros to show up and kind of get things done. But already, with that from the shadows going
you have to know.
Back towards Juan, they're going to expect it to some degree, but they know if anything, this is the time to press W. We have an Omen behind us, not in front of us. He's not on Spike. We're going to have to deal with him later. And, well, if it's Luke, it could be the best thing ever, or it could be the worst thing. It comes down to how hard are he hitting these shots. And still, barely going ahead and scraping across. You got to take those shots, or you face the consequences of Fanshawe. Regardless of death, they still find themselves at least another round off the back of an eco.
Hey, pros don't fake. That has been proven now by Walk. You heard it here at NECC Week 3 of the Champions League. And, I mean, the fact that Luke N was hitting the shots to go on to Walk, the initial ones, and they still didn't get off after taking half of their damage away, shows that they had nerves of steel. Because I would have been off, like, in a heartbeat. But I do need to praise, you know, that Luke N was able to get back to the site that early after the plan had occurred, after the ultimate had occurred, because you saw their teammates were dropping like flies, and they were even able to catch the breach off guard. Now, though, in the next round, action already unfolding because of this aggressive approach from both teams on ramps.
Just looking to go ahead, all out turf war here going on right towards the likes of A-Man. You're looking to just kind of get whatever you can in terms of some real estate, or better yet, when you lose that first death, you want to make sure to at least trade it out as best you can. So why not at least find yourself one, back up, or keep going? Throw some curveballs in there where Lancer Gaming isn't going to expect it, because these rifle rounds, as we mentioned earlier, looking good for them, but apparently when they're into egos, they're not all that great. Well, at least from the last round with anything to go by, considering it was barely scratched by with their teeth. Now looking at the stance, looking at 4v3, still very feasible for either side. Just got to be ready for these reads, or just better yet, be ready for a player swinging on you if you're holding an angle.
Yeah. Now the retake coming in 4v2, don't want to chance it, so Thrash going to be invested, but a beautiful aftershock off camera from Banson there. The perfect counter here, as numbers are quickly even on the 2-on-2, but Flash from Mink allows the isolation In the meantime, though, the distraction causes it to become a breach one-on-one time. Not in the favor of Fanshawe Fuel, but the frag, the crosshair placement is, and although it costs them a lot, they get the round on the board. They secure at least a tied half before the side swap.
Fanshawe is waking up this week, and I am genuinely loving it so much. I mean, we didn't get to see the kind of the culmination of the rounds and what order and sequence they went in over the past couple of weeks. We only just get the numbers at the end of the day, but I mean, looking at the way they really play this thing, I mean, if this is what we've seen every single week, it is outstanding to know that this is how they are playing the game. They're getting themselves an early lead. They're guaranteeing themselves an even half, worst case scenario. When it really comes down to the rest of this game, we talked about these double digits. It talks about getting to that finish line, making sure to finish the job, because it's not done just yet. This could be their defensive side, and their attack may be pretty abysmal. So no matter the case, you can't win off one side. You really got to step things up and make sure you get yourself a lead to guarantee.
And now, there it is. 1-for-1 trade. No more duelists, though, for the entry for Lancer Gaming. So a little bit worse for wear. Although no showstopper as well for Fanshawe Fuel. I do like this Cosmic Divide for the retake attempt, though, with Spike kind of being isolated temporarily here in Male. First clearing out the back end and making sure they can continue this aggression, this expedition here into B Heaven. Not able to spot out much other than the Astra, other than walk here Heaven, but they're prepared for Mink stairs as well. They deal with voice accordingly as well. I don't know how they were flashed, but they were nonetheless. And suddenly, the 2v3 Cosmic Divide might have to come in if they want this round, but it's just, they'd rather take the fights. And Jakey is prepared to take those, take names, and take frags as they are fighting for their team, fighting for Lancer Gaming to get that 6-6.
Yeah, they just want to, even as at the end of this half, they want to make sure to secure themselves the next pistol, to kind of not really look at a 4-0 start. Have to go ahead and claw themselves back from. I mean, this game can be completely different if the pistol round didn't go the direction it did. So that shows the importance, obviously, of the momentum that can really carry on from that, even from the team from like the Fanshawe Fuel, get themselves in a kind of a mental state where they say we can get this game done. But in a round like this, and with another eco, your mental's a little bit scratched because you know that you can't really hold the angles that you wanted to, and even more so if you push up right towards mid like we saw in that last one, you're going to see that there's nobody there. But it doesn't really come down to the push right through the middle. It comes down to playing scrappy, playing smart, and knowing the positions of these guys. And while you do find yourself an initial 2 bloods, it is very quickly traded off for the rest of the squad.
Yeah, but these retakes on these ecos have been Fanshawe's bread and butter. When they have a Cosmic Divide, when they have a showstopper, that pairing can be lethal. They can get somebody on the spike. They even had the gun upgrades collected here for boys. Here come all the ultimates. The trap wire, though, might be exactly what they need. The perfect pairing again with an aftershock from Benson. Just like that. It is going to be Boyce the Protector arriving here for Walk. They grab another Vandal too to upgrade these weapons. The 1v2 though for Jakey would be a picture perfect considering the impact that they had. But Walk isn't going to have any of it. They claim the lead for Fanshawe Fuel to make sure they are energized before swapping over to their attack half.
I'm just loving the way these two teams are kind of going ahead and duking it out against each other. We're seeing so many utility kills just because of the way they're really playing these things out. These breaches are outstanding with these aftershocks. I mean, we've seen about probably 2 to 4 anywhere in that range so far. Or at least damage. I'd say it feels like at least every 2 out of 3 is at least finding some success and just kind of making sure somebody steps out of position or at least gets damaged to some degree by at least one of those bursts and just kind of really puts everybody on their toes. But I think looking at the rest of this and seeing a 7-5 to start things off, Fanshawe Fuel obviously have themselves the leg up, looking really good on the defensive side and make sure to get themselves an early lead. But it also, as you mentioned, came down to those retakes. And they transition that into making sure they kind of do that as an initial side exec because their initial pushes, as we saw, well, good when they were on the ecos, when you're really expecting it now. When it's not an element of surprise, but more of an expectation, is it really going to catch Lancer off to the degree that really puts them in a massive deficit?
Well, for now, looks like here early on in the pistol, it's Lancer Gaming wanting to catch Fanshawe Fuel off guard by luring them into this mid-trap play. But Boyce, the only one at the receiving end of that potentially here, being that lurk player as the solo sentinel, as the chamber with the headhunter, who can cause some serious damage. While the real efforts, the real team is headed towards the A site. And it's interesting they don't have the Cypher anchor on that site. They have the Sky playing solo, so they're going to be playing here for retake with all of that initiator, you know, utility. But otherwise, it's a free plan, at least for the pistol.
Well, Sky, I can go ahead and kind of understand if you want to find yourself a guiding light towards A main, get an early read, just kind of playing off the information. You're expecting somebody to be mid, so you just don't burn the bird. But looking at the rest of the team, you got to see what's really going to happen here. With already a player dropped from the side of Lancer Gaming, their retake isn't going to look all that good with no duelists. So knowing that already, though, they find themselves some more kills or success out of the side of Fanshawe Fuel. Jake just mowing it down there towards ramp. Rest of the team, you know they're going to be scattered around the map. And even if you look like you're getting over antsy, if you're hitting your shot, you're just confident, you're just winning.
I think what we just saw was Jakey G not liking that I said that Jakey on the opposing side on Lancer Gaming was diffing them. Now they're only a few kills off from trying to combat that KDA, and it does feel like that these last few rounds, Fanshawe Fuel, specifically the lower half of the leaderboard, have starting to pick up their weight, right? They're starting to pull their weight in this game, and it's definitely turned the score around from that kind of 4-4-4 streak trade that these two teams had. 8-5 now. A reminder on Lancer's map pick 2. So this would be huge, but let's see if Voice is ready for the deco strategy. Flash coming in late, so it's the team flash to prevent the kill for the Rays. A nice little rendezvous out to safety, and once again, they speed things up on this A side, exec.
I mean, it worked last time to some degree, and even in Fanshawe, if you find the same success in terms of the kills, you can make sure to just do it once more. With better guns, heck, it's going to be a lot easier if anything, but it comes down to can you hit the shots. Well, the first blood definitely doesn't go in their direction. You got to look at the rest of the people that can really get done. Jakey G, having all that money, having all that success in the last one, you're able to go ahead and get that Phantom, maybe find some kills and success with it in the meantime, but the rest of the team is not following suit. They are just dropping like flies. And it comes down to the last two remaining players moping around that site, having to play Ring Around the Rosie. But again, with the rifling advantage, it makes those lineups look much more doable.
Yeah, and they're able to collect that hero Phantom as well from Jakey G. But, I mean, I feel like there was I don't know if it was lack of communication or not enough time to reposition, but Voice knew that there was a bunch of players hurtling down ramps, and they still were dropping like flies. And now that makes us a little bit weaker of a bonus. You can see some players debating if they want to rebuy in the round or not fully to try and lock in that double digits off of especially this Thrash from Gecko, but looks like they think better of it. The only weapon being purchased, I believe, is that second Bulldog, while we have the Deagle and the pistol to kind of round out this bonus attempt. And once again, A is where they found success. A is where they want to head back to. The only difference is Jakey has their utility here this time.
Looking to not only slow things down, as you mentioned, kind of instead of having this guy over there looking for that early information, they're understanding maybe they're moving a little bit too fast for our own good, and we're not getting all the uses we need out of that. Here, let's get a cipher there. Let's slow things down. Let's kind of put these guys in their place. And around like this in a third, it's already going to happen anyways. You're going to slow down naturally because of the guns being brought here into the game. Still, you're not going to see any lack of aggression from that defense. It really comes down to if it's warranted or not. And already with an initial player pushing up, you see Craig coming through, and that's one already biting the dust.
Yeah, so it doesn't seem like it's that warranted. I feel like Kaz getting punished round after round, finding nothing, or only finding a trade, which, you know, like you said, no duels for the retake has been hurting Lancer Gaming. And once again, looks like they get a frag, they go back to this A site. That is the tried and true method Fanshawe Fuel has been sticking to because they haven't had to change it on the attack just yet. Oh!
30 seconds left.
You're so awkward sometimes.
Yeah.
First squad. Regardless, still,
No,
early
we
forward the
win.
board. All things looking good so far for the side of Fanshawe Fuels. They know they have full control of the safe side of the map, but even then, you got to look at the setup, you got to look at the post, and even then, you got to look at Lancer Gaming because we talk about these duelists. Talk about once again where you're kind of lacking it. You have the double initiator there, which can kind of compensate, but that Cypher, what are they really doing? They're sitting in the back of the map with a camera, just kind of looking to go ahead, hold things down as best they can. And what's that really going to do? Well, it's got to swing eventually. It's got to get ready. It's got to help somebody, and it's just watching and playing. It's everybody else is doing their job. Can't do it to the fullest degree, but util kill once again on a Jakey G in a 2v1 situation being dwindled down once more. You're getting to the point where this clock is honestly going to be the one thing that kills you.
And if we get a repeat, but the shoes on the other player's foot, I would have cried, but they don't.
Okay.
Pros don't fake it. If they would, they could have gotten the round, but walk showing they are superior in these clutch situations. But yeah, you mentioned the number of utility kills we've had. I know we're at least at 5. We have like 3 aftershocks, 1 pain shell. I think we've had more than 1 pain shell. I think we have at least 2.
Yeah.
And now 1 mosh kill It's been insane, this utility usage. And at first I was like, oh no, this dark cover from Luke N is gonna completely split up this plan, right? Jakey G was more trying to use that Thrash off site, or if they wanted to go for Spike, right? And so them dividing them meant that they didn't have that protector, they didn't have Mink there. So what do? They reposition. Mink pushes up to play that crossfire, to play this joint utility, and it's a perfect bait and a perfect play to completely clothesline that ramp's control. Now though, it looks like they think there might have been a response, and correctly so, since 4 players were looking to push out A main. So the entire stack is now towards the B side, a free site at that. The only concern here is Mink alone mid when there is a force coming in through vents, a force coming in through sewers, and they take one with them here, but that's still a weapon given over to complement the zone theft.
You know, once again, I mean, we're seeing these first bloods though coming through, being it's kind of death, I would say, to some degree for the side of Lancer Gaming. Once again, that duel's being out of the game, not really having that star player, that star retake that you really need eventually, because they're pushing a little bit too early, kind of pushing that gas pedal and burning out their entire tank right from the get-go. So Fanshawe Fuel still kind of holding things down, knowing they're in a post, but once again, this has been their strong suit, whether it be retakes, whether it be holds. They've looked outstanding in it so far. Their angle holding is just not god tier, but it is amazing to watch. And even then, they have an understanding of the clock. They're the ones that stuck in the last round, because why not? Have the advantage of that point, at least mentally, just kind of stick around, wait for that thing to go off and see the black void fill up your screen as you find one more round on the board. 11-5 is the showing so far, and I gotta say, if anybody had money on this, we'd all be losing.
Oh, no, definitely. I mean, I brought up the idea, I guess, that earworm that Lancer Gaming can be inconsistent, you know, flipping from 13-4 a team to getting 13-4 by the same team a map later. Now, my question is that's what's happening here? Are they about to get 13-5'd and then 13-5 and send us into a map 3? Or, as you mentioned, have we just all placed our chips on the wrong side and are about to be broke? But regardless, this map isn't over just yet. I mean, we've seen 11-3 comebacks before in Valorant, so nothing is impossible here. But with, you know, money dwindling, a Thrash on the line, and strategies for Fanshawe Fuel being pretty much executed flawlessly this half, it does look a little hopeless, especially when Lancer Gaming didn't even take a timeout.
I'm just excited to see whether or not we see, once again, Soray's die right off the start of the round. I mean, we're looking pretty good so far. We've waited about close to 30 seconds now. Nothing's really happened just yet, so we'll see what that looks like on a retake. That is if we even see one come underway. Wingman going on the site, being backed up by a Thrash, so you know you got a little bit of coverage. You got all of his buddies working together in unison to make sure to get the job done and get that clock ticking. So here we go, 5v5, going ahead, everything out on the table. Let's see what ends up coming out on top.
Yeah, I want to say they recollected Thrash as well. So that's why you see that Gecko, like, kind of protected by a squad. Get down, Mr. President, there in main. While Slippery does the dirty work here on site, but it's actually a premature Thrash. Nobody was on the site just yet, recognizing it was a possible element. And now they have a double-pronged assault as a distraction. So now, as the utility dwindles away from delaying the initial flood in, they have Lucan on Spike. The spray's coming through and landing perfectly. Jakey G, good for the clutch, good for the map point, and stunned, they lose their life as a result.
Yeah, just going ahead, basking in the glorious light that is the spike going off, understanding that I did that. Not only did I plant it, but I held it pretty darn well after the fact as well. And even then, it deserved to go ahead and bask in a little bit of that glory. You know, you got an extra bit of money to work with here, considering that you're now sitting at 12-5. You have not only a buy for this round, but your entire team has a buy for the next worst case. And, well, you can just go ahead and take that hit at the end of the day. Why not? Just go ahead and really look at this standing and be happy of what you've accomplished so far, at least in this series. It may not last long. We don't really know. But, I mean, I'm sure that Fanshawe want to make sure that this ball keeps on rolling. So, still, relatively early here for the half because, well, it's been 5 in a row here for Fanshawe Fuel, and they just keep on rolling. But do they roll into the Cypher trap? Well, to some degree, a gun barrel, I would say, is a pretty deadly trap in its own right.
Yeah, but, I mean, without even any indicator, Mink just perfect on the timing for the Cypher cage. Doesn't allow them to get out of dodge. And doesn't allow Zobez the same fate. Mink has tried to close things out on their own. Rolling Thunder even invested a perfect timing for Jakey G. And before a true-to-life retake can get started, the round is over. The map is over. Jakey G proving that Gecko is a viable pick for Split in my eyes. I'm going to send this VOD.
I'm going to talk about it a little bit, but you mentioned the kind of versatility of Bind and like kind of how a lot of things start to open up here, because you can still put the Astra back down. You can still kind of play the Chamber here, knowing how good he is. Bind just kind of feels like the new Ascent to a certain degree with the diversity of picks we see, because teams I feel like just get so comfortable here, they can really won't run whenever. And this is the map that we've seen Yoru now kind of come back into play and see its resurrection to a certain degree. So seeing it being played here again, I'm going to be really excited to watch it once more.
And I mean, I didn't say this, but the thought crossed my mind. I was like, with how much Jakey was fragging out on Split, I was like, they could be the second duelist. But then I was like, but they're so confident and comfortable on the Cypher, on the Sentinel, and that's what they always play. I wouldn't want to break that. But them coming in, you know, playing the Yoru, we'll see if it works out. But for now, the first indication is Voice fighting Lucan. So are we going to have a duelist difference? We will have to wait and see. But early teleportation plays here potentially coming out. 2 players on the B side here for Lancer Gaming, about to try and pinch these players off of this incendiary, and realizing that they have to aggress in the site. They have to aggress in this Yoru clone and this Brimstone back site, but Kaz making quick work of them and forcing another rotation now.
And a rescue mission as well, funny enough. Saw the rotation, everybody
Spike,
teleporter saying, come on, bring the Spike! And if they're the one in the back of the line, woo, but Slippery, living up to the name, slipping right into the other side of the map, coming onto a flank, and well, you're saying, hey, I'm still here, guys. Give me some backup. I'll go ahead and plant the Spike. Yours eventually going to swing out or TP. There's going to be something going on here, but there's 3 of us. One of them just start shooting.
They don't get to. They don't even get to make the decision for them, because Slippery has. I mean, they were probably contemplating their decisions, like which one is actually going to have a better outcome, since they had no flashes, they had no clone left, since it's obviously a pistol. But regardless, I mean, it's going to take time for this new composition to land where they want it to, so I'm going to hope to see that development as the rounds progress. I mean, Kaz already, I'm not going to lie, looking a little bit more comfortable on the Yoru, but for now, it does look like a full investment minus a full hero rifle on the side of Fanshawe Fuel.
And I always like kind of looking at the underdogs of these maps to kind of see how they go across and kind of transition. And Boyce on that Chamber in the last game, I want to say, I mean, obviously did their job to a certain degree, but wasn't really fragging as they should, always kind of staying alive till the end, and always kind of feeling like they just have to have that lasting impression that carries over into the next. Just kind of is always there, always lingering somewhere. And while a Chamber, you can find some effect out of that, sure. You still have to play that duelist role for a retake if you're the last alive, and at least when you need to go for those attempts. But being a Viper, this makes the perfect set. That literally just kind of is so on brand, but we'll see whether it actually transitions and finds new life for Fanshawe Fuel to kind of double down here and really get themselves going. But they don't really have as much life to start off this round as they found themselves the first death. And Lancer Gaming able to kind of extend up a little bit and understand that, well, that A main is a little bit more open.
But not too open, considering Boyce is ready there, catching Kaz with the utility out. And that does mean the exec here is going to come into fruition. So, you know, they're kind of the Viper on the other side on their own island. And they've been drowned here out at sea. So it's literally just going to be Boyce asked to deliver here yet again on the other side of a Judge. Going to probably entry off of Lucan's utility or this Brim smoke. Here comes the distraction, the Judge follow-up. So that's a Spectre handed over. And with players low, a 3v3 looks feasible.
Again. Not be long. Not really gonna do too much there, considering that everybody else is gonna be rushing right through that smoke, right into the lineup of somebody else, and that last player going for the longest lineup has the shortest range gun. Not gonna do too much in that situation. We now see a Thrash being available here on the field with all those players going through. We even did the kills of JTG, able to kind of culminate that as well. And, well, now getting yourself something to work with here on round number 3. A couple guns to carry over, the Bulldog and the Guardian. Not really a Bulldog and an Outlaw, but I gotta say, personally, I think a Guardian's a little bit better because it's still one shot to the head, and it still has a lot more bullets left over where you don't have to reload as much. You can go ahead and find yourself in a 1v5 scenario, and while slim to none, still completely possible. So anything's clicking, go ahead, count things down. Round starting, going underway. You see a pretty good push coming through to kind of go ahead and take over that B long control going on, with that guiding light giving you the information to let you know, okay, somebody is coming out the towards fountain. And knowing the Thrash is here as well, it's pretty much a gimme today. They're going over here.
Yeah, but I was expecting Jakey to go
One enemy
huge here from the backside, from the unknown. And although they can't finish the job, they have left their mark. A 1v3 now for Walk. No information about where this Yoru is playing. No one's about a TP fake or if they actually get crashed out to the safety of their team. And even those teleporters aren't safe indicators with a Yoru alive. Dimensional Drift online, I think, is to get dicey as well, but they look like they just want to take the fight out right from this off-angle position. But Walk just drops lower in HP. Gun getting kind of pulled out, and it's quickly taken care of by Lucan.
Love the setups there coming from the side of that defense. I mean, as you mentioned, Jakey has to really step in that situation. Did exactly that, sitting on top right towards the middle of the site. The Thrash can only hit one player, and there's near 3 over there. So you're saying, okay, while we do have a free kill on somebody, we invested in ultimate just to get that one. Everything else just kind of went ahead and collapsed underneath us, and it created, well, Lancer Gaming to have themselves an outstanding hold, a couple of guns to carry over, but still relatively expensive to some degree, knowing only 2 carried over into this next one. So I'm liking the kind of the blood that's being shed between these two teams. It's looking even, it's looking really aggressive, it's looking like each team really wants it. And we're getting more regular Valorant, considering it's, well, round number 3, and nobody's has 0 rounds on the board.
Oh, but frag after frag. Kaz showing they are right at home here with the Yoru pick. Maybe it's just they're off on the Raze is what they cannot fill the bill for. Are we going to see a Yoru-Son split going forward for this team? That's my prediction. But for now, that means it's going to be that much harder to pose a post plant here. And with players divided as much as they are, it does mean have to isolate these players, hopefully on the side of Lancer Gaming. You can see Boyce trying to group a bit more with this guy in Shower while finding a frag for their efforts along the way. And it is Mink, it is Jakey crunching down. Phantom's position known as well, pinned in the corner, but they're just dumping utility. There's not much coordination because the snakebite doesn't land, so Mink just has to do the hero's work, hero's journey, and they will reach Promised Land, able to grab that frag, even things back out to a mirrored 2-on-2.
A lot of utility you can swing through, but swing into the snake bite, making yourself vulnerable. But does it really trade off too much? Isn't too much of an actual back hole because you still have everybody else playing around sight on the gunfight. You're in a 2v2 looking for the retake on the side of Lancer Gaming to even look at the players that are probably sitting on triple stack. You made the call earlier. You knew a player was there. You knew the spike was kind of more towards the center of the map. Even then, you don't really know what else is going on here. So quick peeks, quick shots going off, needing a double swing to come through and just kind of capitalize off the fact of the numbers. Makes another easy round here for Fanshawe. Still close in terms of how many players are alive towards the end, but still, nonetheless, with these rounds being so close on both sides with how many players are remaining, it shows that anything can be doable, but when the numbers really come down to mattering most, it just comes down to who can play their life a little bit better.
Once again, making a very successful round out of what looked a little dicey. Like I said, the players being divided, low on HP, low on utility. And it really was Mink, like you said, just staying alive as long as they could until the frags were in a advantageous position. But for now, looks like equal round for Lancer Gaming. A little unorthodox strategy that could catch these Fountain players off guard, or this Brimstone here in Link, but long-range weapon from Jakey G should be able to make quick work of it. No, and recollect this Dizzy, so it's worth the investment there as well. And Jakey realizing they'll have an easier time and vulnerability on their side, but advantage not enough to pull the frag over to their side. So 5v2 now. Fear not, Kaz is alive. They have the Dimensional Drift, but only a classic here with nobody falling on Fanshawe fuel. Best they can collect here is a Stinger, maybe a Deagle, to stage this turnaround.
Next weapon they're going to run to is going to be on site. No deaths going there inside Hookah. So, what you got? What you got? Plain and simple. Nothing really else to work with. Even then, can't really blame Fanshawe over just saying we can kind of push up to spawn off the back of this. Wait for that clock to tick down a little more. So, have a player sitting back in spawn, or at least better yet, defender side spawn. Maybe two. Have one player sitting on site, one player back to long, make the angles. Nobody's overextending or pushing for a retake here. And just let them kill themselves if they slip through the cracks. I mean, you can test it, but look at that. Hold it down. Incendiary, just secure the round. Easy peasy here for Fanshawe Fuel. So, I mean, again, over and over and over again, we are seeing them look outstanding. Like, this is literally a new team we're dealing with.
No, completely. And finally, I mean, I don't think we saw any of these over on Split. Only timeout coming out from Fanshawe Fuel. So they realize that they need to take a breather. They need to consider a change here. Because as you mentioned, Fanshawe Fuel is not the team they were expecting to have this many issues with, especially after going against powerhouses like the Carlton squads. And, I mean, they haven't even had to pull out these ultimates yet for Fanshawe Fuel.
It's easy going. I mean, they're just playing their cards right. These rounds are going in their advantage over and over again, seemingly. They just always kind of have the utility available to them. They always kind of pop in the right spot. And Fanshawe, I can tell, I mean, they're just kind of popping them out in the open, and they're not really being punished for it. Not because they can't, but more so just because Lancer Gaming, they're putting themselves in positions where they want to be taking these aggressive fights. It kind of feels like they're trying to restore themselves to their quote-unquote former glory of their past couple weeks. You got to understand that, I mean, you got to give respect where it's due. This Fanshawe Fuel Squad, we said they look completely different. And I mean, while sure you're inside the game and it's kind of hard to go ahead and notice that, especially looking at the past couple of weeks of VOD reviews, and I'm sure just kind of go ahead and culminating all these plans, on a week-to-week basis, they're doing the same exact thing. And they're going to make those adjustments, and they have definitely brought them. And they have definitely showed the impact of those here today. I mean, already going ahead, find themselves a good stance. The only round they lost was when they made sure that, obviously, it was a kind of flip around round where they were working with the force spy, and the other team was doing full rifles. So they still cut 3 of those out from you. You're letting them take these fights. You're letting them win them better yet because, well, they actually have set up a utility available to them when they are taking them. But already a little bit of a mowdown going back towards spawn. Lancer Gaming, it seems like the best shot they got to get themselves maybe a second.
Yeah. But still, Seekers and Showstopper online for Fanshawe Fuel. A nice rotation as well that Mink is able to be on top of. Suddenly, they've paved the way into this A site. The Seekers force them to get back, and they get caught in the crossfire of them trying to destroy the cabbage. So, 1v3. Slippery has to get aggressive, has to isolate these fights before the players flood back in off of a plant. Able to maybe slip into CT here. They need to look back, though, because Jakey is there, frag, to get, as you mentioned, that second round for Lancer Gaming following a timeout.
A little bit of an investment just to get there, but I mean, you couldn't really care less. I mean, it comes to the point where, I mean, you found yourself a timeout. You already went for the biggest investment. I mean, you can get multiple ultimates within a half, but you can only get one timeout, and they made sure that's the one that really counts. So it looks for them to go ahead and get themselves on the board, kind of double their rounds, but they're still doing with half of what Fanshawe Fuel's got to work with. It's still relatively early on. It's first half. But you know that right here for an even exchange to kind of go ahead and make sure you get this table turning back in their advantage. Fanshawe Fuel, the ultimate right off the get-go. You didn't expect both right here at the start, but you knew that one was coming along, but you didn't know that another one was going to get shut down.
And the response, though, from Lancer Gaming, the adjustment is just as quick. Somehow, boys?
No way.
Boys? If they didn't get that frag, I would have cried, but it's more saddening that these sky smokes are going to prevent them from getting even more here. They thought they had controls over Shower. That's been dashed away. Thrash has been recollected. So the plant coming in with the 4v4, and suddenly Fanshawe Fuel even has a post-plant strategy, which is this early, apparently, Thrash come in to take players out of the retake, which, you know, diminishes the amount of utility available. But Cass says I can do it alone with the reinforcements coming in. So from Shower, they won't even have to.
Player standing.
Big investments coming through as well. I mean, they want to push all the way back into the defender side spawn, which you really can't blame them too much. They got to worry about that spike. We're trying to push, overextend that line of scrimmage back towards the enemy side spawn, and they really just paid the price for it. That Thrash going back towards spawn, out of recovery reach, and obviously, I mean, out of tradable reach, I would say is a better thing, because you can't really recover that second time there. We are looking for some relative effect on site, because I mean, that lets you know, okay, if a player's retreating, you're not really getting too much off of that. But the player on site, that lineup that Mink was going to have to take against that Yoru, fighting Kaz in that situation, that's the top frag of the team. If you shut that guy down, your chances of winning a round go up substantially, and even then, the mental boost of seeing that Yoru light up in the top right of your screen lets you know that I can take a lot more fights a little more comfortably, knowing that they're not the ones that are really warming themselves up. As looking for somewhat of an exchange once again, we see that Lancer Gaming, the retakes have been outstanding so far, and they didn't really have to expend too much in that last one to get there, knowing that they have 4 ultimates now just kind of ready to pop whatever they want.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously it's still undetected. Fanshawe Fuel has gained very deep A control, but they've done nothing to address showers, which proved to be an issue last round, minus Boyce's heroic plays to re-clear it. Now, even with the gate crash there, they can create a pinch play in an instant, but they're just torn. They're just visiting, all right? This is like the jail center in the Monopoly board. They're not interacting with the A side at all. They're just passing through for now. The B side, the real objective here. I thought for a second Sky was watching CT, which scared me because I don't know how they expect this. How do they expect this?
Well,
What?
you got a Yoru up in a dimensional drift, going through the entirety of the back
There's
of the
nothing
map.
though.
I don't really expect the Vipers. They don't like someone to push a Viper. That just kind of leaves everybody saying, all right, cool. You guys are on site, but you're on our side of the field. Let's see what this attacking side feels like for Fanshawe Fuel. And better yet, let's see what it looks like for Lancer, because this is going to be an early taste of that medicine and just slam metal to metal.
Yeah, and that is all these ultimates being thrown into the mix. An early orbital strike, too, from Fanshawe Fuel means they have no post-plant strategy as player after player is falling here. Lucan with the tap, orbital strike coming out as well. So a 3v1 with the Bucky for Boyce. Incendiary misses, leaving a gap, but 3 bullets left. They have to hit hard, and that's exactly what they will do. Fanta not on. They can't get the last, and there's not enough time. There's no time.
Well,
Boyce has done it.
Right. Holy Bucky!
What a thrifty.
What an outstanding play. I mean, you never expect a Viper spit from that kind of angle going right back into Hall. And I mean, knowing that that's not an angle that you're typically used to swinging, quite frankly. You can just hold down spawn. At that point, you're playing defense on the defensive side. In the post play, you're saying everything's set up for me. It's like an uphill battle, and right, just put me right at the top.
And I mean, that just shows how insane that some of these rounds can be if you don't maintain multiple ladders of map control. I mean, yes, you have this really strong lockdown of shower that they're repeating, but then you give up all this control that can be taken advantage of. U-Haul, backside, a rotation of B that lost them that last round. And now trying to go around to get Boyce, but the action's unfolding on B site, and they're even caught lacking there. So all these frags going in favor of Fanshawe Fuel, and realizing that they like that 3-person pressure into shower. Ooh, it's an open B site, but not an open TP. Fanson gets the frag, gets the gun upgrade here. So see what they do with these now fully equipped weapons.
Questioning, dude, you got a sheriff there. Why are you chasing me? Leave me alone. The rest of my team is on site. I'm just the post plant guy. I'm just the green guy. I throw stuff out, I delay, and that's about it. I mean, did you see what happened last round? But still, a round like this with so many players alive, Fanshawe Fuel, they don't really need a Viper alive doing anything, quite frankly. You got so much prowess, you got so much power behind you, you just can't throw it. And well, they definitely did not do that. Maybe swinging one by one was a little bit sketchy, but still, when you know that the shots are done, it only takes 2 bullets to get the kill and to find yourself one more. So a guaranteed even half here for Fanshawe Fuel. An outstanding start once again for what we see from them on their own map, replicating what we've seen. Today, Fanshawe, while we could say resurrection, we could say new team, I want to say consistency is really the key word they are highlighting for themselves right now, because it's over and over and over again. They're showing resilience, they're showing tenacity, and they're just keeping it going, and I see it on a round-to-round basis.
Yeah, and I mean, you can even spin consistency on its head there for Lancer Gaming, saying that's something that they lack. I mean, you get these star moments from players like Kaz, from players like Jakey, but not everybody playing at the same caliber is costing them in these clutch rounds. And I do like the changes as well that Fanshawe Fuel is making, right? They're aware that they like the shower control, so they either avoid it or they put Boyce in a way to contest it. Now as well, they're sending an initiator and a duelist there to make sure it's getting cleared out. And it just feels like Lancer's Gaming's adjustment aren't landing anywhere. I mean, even now this Yoru Sky outside of B main is finding nothing because they're just playing it so slow for Fanshawe Fuel.
I know Lancer's kind of getting a little bit antsy here, and Fanshawe, I mean, they found themselves so many rounds consistently. they're at the point now where the ball's in their court. I mean, and we're seeing Lancer Gaming being the ones trying to take those shots. It's like a game of dodgeball to where all the balls are on Fanshawe Fuel's side, and Lancer Gaming just kind of has to catch one before they can really start throwing. They don't want to take any outs here, and they know that it's not going to miss.
30 seconds left.
Speaking of shots, Lancer is at the point now to where you say, when you give us the opportunity, we're not going to do that either. But with some good even trades across the board, and the spike down better yet, setting this line, setting this territory, drawing that line in the sand is going to be very important here, because we saw it early when they tried to overextend and push back towards that side. Just play it slow. Play in your position. Work on your side of the map, but don't move too quickly. You want to take these fights on your terms. It seems like they're kind of willing to do that, but maybe Mink can compensate for it.
I mean, Mink, if we're talking about consistency, most consistent player here on Bind. Jakey tried to get it to half with only 2 HP. They're able to get off, but time not in their favor. Walk in a great position to ensure they can't ninja either. I don't think there's enough time. Is there? There is. Whoa!
You got like half a second after that bubble pop.
You just had to jiggle it. I mean, how does Jakey get the timing not only on the incendiary survival, but then on the spike diffuse? I mean, we just were praising Mink and how insane they've been. 13-7, almost a 2 KDA now. And then you get the round robbed away like that after your hero play. That's got to hurt the mental.
Even though I'm kind of with you, just go ahead, you play for the audible there, wait maybe a second and a half tops, and then swing afterward. But knowing that even then, it's knowing it was literally a bit under a second, that was the difference there. You just gotta let it take a little bit longer. Unfortunate there, still puts out a Fanshawe, but what's unfortunate also is better yet for Sobez. Can't really fight, can't really protect themselves because, well, you were kind of doing some T-Rex hands real quick. Meanwhile, everybody else is gunning you down and rushing right through to get to your spawn, and better yet, your site. Put that spike down once more.
Now, I mean, Kaz, you know, you do have a get out of jail free card, but the rest of your team doesn't. So, falling victim to the Thrash, now placing them in a 2v3 retake where Kaz is at half HP. They're gonna have to rely heavily on this Brimstone utility as well. I don't know how I feel about this, this wall, so I'm glad it's been kind of implemented, but quite literally a staring contest between Mink and this Brimstone as the sky smoke fades. Mink coming out on top here, so Kaz in position of a 1v3, 3 different angles being held by these 3 different players, and they don't clear them in the correct order. Mink with the timing with another 3k, and they will secure a lead before the sides swap.
Regardless, advantage is going to be at the end of the half here for the side of Fanshawe Fuel, and keep on talking about that get out of jail free card, that jail space on the board, and Fanshawe Fuel. I mean, while Lancer Gaming, I can say they're probably the ones that are doing with the jail card because it's not really doing too much for them. They're kind of skipping over it here for the majority of the game. They're not having to pay any tolls or for any rent or any railroads. They're still just kind of just chilling. They're just making progress and waiting to put themselves on the board. They're dodging a lot of mines in the meantime. But we see Fanshawe Fuel, they're passing the go slot. It seems like every single round, not only are they just kind of making that progress, but they're getting paid over and over and over again. They're just making this progress in stride. So in a round like this, where the majority of the teams are ready to go ahead and kind of answer for this, where Lancer Gaming may have a legitimate fight to take and win, better yet, with these lineups that are available to them, still the majority of the team is sitting right there by that teleporter, and they can make that call at any point they feel.
Right there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I need to see like over rotation from Lancer Gaming, so they have like a heavier retake attempt, because I want to say most of these players are dying before the spike even goes down. And yes, they're trying to keep deeper map control. Yes, they were expecting Boyce this time to lurk up along the toxic screen, but Boyce again is finding themselves being this excellent lurk player, clearing out these common angles, being that backdoor option, and I'm about to see, I think, a mass exodus through this teleporter because of the ground gain by Boyce. Only issue is, here's the response. Rem utility, orbital strike off of the data gathered by this dimensional drift. Great clones, great flashes now to create a double-pronged assault. They only have a Bucky to answer for. Lugen saying a stinger is enough, but Slippery showing that Vandal trumps them all. Not only do they get the frag with the gun, but the showstopper follow-up as well. They're on for the ace, and Jakey will be the one to deny it here again. The only one countering the frag potential of anybody on Fanshawe Fuel. Now another 1v2 for them to have to clutch out. We've seen them do it before. Can they give us a repeat?
They did it in a 1v1. And they weren't up against double controller, just absolutely delaying the play game. But when you see that spike going ahead and being touched, and it's rising, and somebody's around the corner, it's an easy spray down. I mean, you've narrowed that window of margin of error to kind of being a lot more limited than what you'd expect otherwise, just kind of being inside that box score. But 8-4 here for the half. Better stance to what we saw on Split of a Map, where it ended off abysmal for the likes of Lancer Gaming. So knowing that now it's not even 7-5 anymore, it's 8-4, you got even more work to put in just to kind of go ahead and bring this game back to its knees, not even on standing feet just yet. So I want to say for Lancer, it's going to be a tough task for him, but knowing that Kaz has been playing this duelist role on the defense and still having a lot of relative success, I was here on the attacking side, you're expecting Kaz to really kind of kick into high gear, really kind of compensate for their performance so far. And even then, you're expecting Luka to kind of finally get back into those shoes and say, now I can set the pace of the game. I can go fast. And if I got a dude flashing behind me, I'm going to be fine 10 times over.
Yeah. Now, once again, it's going to be tested if they clear out these other parts of the map. Voice trying to get the timing, the wraparound with the rest of the squad here. And these are the kind of moves that I wanted to see from Lancer last half. Ooh, the unexpected. But Jakey expects the unexpected, able to grab 2 before falling themselves. But they gathered all the information that Lancer Gaming needs to flip the script, to flip the map, and now pressure into the CT here. The only issue is they've given up a lot of site control, so they're going to have to use a lot of utility to fight back into it. Looks like the Yoru equipment is in place. We'll see what happens as the Poison Orb follows the Flood in. A 2v4 on the docket. Strike that slippery, almost slipping away with a Ninja fuse, but after it is hacked, the Cavalry arrives and a very clean 4-person surviving pistol.
Wee bit stressful, but still you have all that insurance there, the incendiary on the spike. Everybody goes going to check it because they heard it. We've seen players slip through the cracks like that before. They hear the spike, they think it's just, okay, it was somebody else. We've seen a death go through somewhere. Maybe they got off of it. But still, when you're in that kind of number, you can just throw players at the problem and just kind of come out on top. So, knowing it was a pistol round, given this advantage, at least here to Lancer Gaming for this half specifically, to get themselves one. A little bit earlier. Good for them. You gotta make sure to capitalize off the back of this because we've seen Fanshawe fuels ecos before. And good God, we know anything, you can't rest all of your laurels on rounds like these because you can still make it hurt, even with a classic.
And now they've gotten those weapons in hand. This 3v3 looking feasible. I mean, a Sky Online could have a regrowth here for a Boyce. But they feel like they're trying the same thing here again that they just did. And without the spike getting planted on the B site, I love this awareness to not overheat, to fall back, realizing that they know they're playing the objective, not for kills. And they've dodged a bullet in that regard. But leaving the Rays here means they have that audio cue indication for the duo now in U-Haul to rotate back if they need to.
Things coming through. Lancer Gaming going ahead and trying to get a read of whether or not players are back in that spawn. Trying to have an idea of saying more than likely they're probably going to be going just sitting back there naturally. They've already made sure to
30 seconds left.
Their pressure back towards spawn. You know you're surrounded here on this B side, and that's best case scenario, quite frankly. You don't know what kind of corners are hiding. You finally get vision. You understand what you're dealing with. What kind of players are sitting in what kinds of spots. It's slippery once again, holding up to their names, slipping through the cracks, but not staying alive to get the job done.
Scout destroyed.
No. So 2v3 for the remaining members. Boyce, the elected Guardian here. Gonna be a hard threat to deal with. I'm not sure about the strategy here of what they're attacking.
My God!
But, you know, Mink proving me wrong immediately as the words leave my mouth. I mean, not that they're able to kind of push up that far and get out unscathed. I mean, that definitely is deserving of the Thrifty title.
I mean, still understanding that, okay, don't touch the spike. They got a Sky Ally. More than likely have a guiding light available because they haven't popped one recently. The region has gone ahead and gone through already. So they're more than likely either just A, wrapping us, which we should be dead by now, or B, they're waiting for an audible to go ahead and get their setup and make their swing play. And saying, well, I'm a Sky, I'm an initiator, just beat him to the cut. Better initiator wins that fight. And it most definitely does. Well played around there from Fanshawe Fuel. A huge wraparound, just understanding how that round was within their grasp and how they played it was just so perfect to a T that they deserved every single last bit of it. But now, We're looking at Lancer Gaming. Sure, they deserve that loss, but do they deserve a series loss? And look at their performance so far, I wouldn't say to this kind of degree just yet, so they got to give us a little bit more of a show here.
Toxic Screen giving them the perfect stage for this performance, though. But unlike how Lancer Gaming didn't address it on their defensive half, you can see Fanshawe Fuel in the differences, using utility to flush them out or attempt to flush them out of this U-Haul position before it's turned on their head. Slippery in a great position as well to punish, but now lead till support now that the position's been revealed. Doesn't matter though, the crunch coming in, the better weapons, landing some frags. 3v2 with the Viper on a lifeline, but this is Jakey alive that we are talking about. And a Bucky for Kaz. We saw the Bucky's impact last round. We'll see if it lands again, but again, Jakey just literally HP getting halved after HP getting halved. Can't even get the plant, but Kaz is a classic of all. If they win this fight against, if they win the fight against Mink with a classic, about to say.
And then my biggest thing is looking as we could be hitting the home stretch here.
Waste is there.
Round coming their way here for Fanshawe Fuel. Let's go through. This is the double-digit kind of 10-point chokehold that they have witnessed on a week-to-week basis. I mean, they've already seen it a couple times by now, and I'm sure kind of daunted them. But even now at a point like this, seeing what happened in that last map, you're just chilling. Oh my god. What an outstanding snake bite going through, at least getting a little bit of damage off there. You know this player has a bug. You just can't hear things. You gotta look at every angle. And you gotta make sure to trade that off.
You gotta be kidding me. You've gotta be kidding me. Thrifty 2K with the Bucky for Thrifty 2K with the Bucky. And I mean, Kaz says, all right, Mink, if you can do it, I guess I can do it. Just so well played. And I mean, I don't want to say that's on Mink because Mink is 19 and 10 and I couldn't do what they've been doing, but those shots with the Vandal were rough. I mean, Kaz gave them a decent amount of time, but regardless, that kind of writes the economy a little bit. I mean, look at how much money Kaz has in their pocket after collecting that Vandal. Should be able to buy it for their team the next round if they have to. On the other side of things, though, a singular hero rifle for Fanshawe Fuel in the hands of We'll have to see, or sorry, in the hands of one of the players, and we'll have to see if it can serve its purpose. But for now, I do like the challenge here in the showers, but Sky Utility providing zero support, so Kaz is just dropping one after another, and Walk isn't willing to find the same fate.
I mean, to win a round, it's one of those ranked game situations where you got to assess the field and know who your threats are, and just kind of say, all right, we play around the map and try to just stay away from this guy. And well, right now, that's Kaz. That's the player that we just saw, obviously, go ahead and be a catalyst to that last Thrifty and actually execute it. But even more so, just kind of being a consistent factor in this game, just being that top striker for the side of Lancer Gaming, being an absolute utter nuisance. So, I mean, you got to shut this guy down, and you just got to kind of play away from him. If you see your utility, don't give up the space, but call for reinforcements and make sure you can at least kind of surmount to a trade at minimum.
Now, you can see that Luke N is not done fighting for this flawless round. 2v5, as they should be able to get their way in the B site. Mink about to get standard, but great prioritization will award them at least one to give Walk a fighting chance, but it's only a Sheriff, and Lancer Gaming taking no chances here. It's a rotation to A with enough time,
10 seconds
per se.
left.
And obviously a safe passage because the Viper has cleared out all of it. The only saving grace is that rotation does give a Vandal to Walk here. So we'll see what they can do with this upgrade.
Well, half armor, feasible. Be difficult nonetheless, though. Looking at the setup, Mike just went down. All four players are more than likely going to be on site, or at least pushing back into spawn. So, I mean, Walk, you have every right to go ahead, check Heaven a little bit, make sure to swing these halls as slow as possible. You just kind of take more time on this because you're expecting to lose this round regardless. You found this upgrade off the back of a teammate, and you can say, all right, so long as I get nothing or if I get everything, it's all good. Try to get some damage, maybe get a couple kills, and if you don't beat yourself up about it. Go ahead, get back up, go right into the next one. It's only a 2-round differential. You got time still on the board to get something going here.
I do. And 7-9, I mean, we saw the Fanshawe Fuel timeout when Lancer Gaming won on a run. So I'm curious to see if it's... I think it'll happen after this round, right? Like, you typically see it like when they're going into Nico, so they can think of a Nico or a Thrifty strat and the follow-up rifle round. You're going to have a rifle round no matter what, whether you win or lose the round. And I think 9-8 is not a bad scoreline to have one. So now it's just kind of getting through this round, and I would say maybe even trying to save your season, save your Thrash. And when these ultimates and when you see Kaz flooding on Voice, it is a good indication they wouldn't have time to use it, but that's where the Thrash comes in, able to find Manson off teleportation from Walken. Now multiple players teleporting to try and reinforce this crunch play. And 3v2, if they win this round, they might not need the timeout, but 2v2, Voice low. So it's again this mirror matchup of the Viper and Sky. They're gonna have to retake against the Viper's pit.
It just comes down to audibles, and if they're not here on site immediately ready for it, I mean, it is what it is. The Viper's pit, though, fairly easily. You do have these things available, and not only do they just kind of go ahead and take that avenue, they go over the truck. So they give you a direct line of sight, a direct, perfectly straight access to understand where these players might be. So no one's more than likely going to be sitting around on these crates. And Mink, well, who else to nail that shot? The boys to go ahead and read that flank, get that protection, and find that 10th round here for Fanshawe Fuel. They didn't find themselves much of a chokehold on that 10th round. We still have yet to see if that comes to life, but for 9, it stuck them out there for a second.
I know, yeah, beautiful retake there. Now, the man on the defensive half have that Viper's Pit as an option to kind of create a pressure point on the map, kind of a magnet in the opposite direction to force them where they want them to go, hopefully towards this stack, I would say, on the A site. But that's exactly where Lancer Gaming looks like they are headed. My hope here is that we're going to see Fanshawe Fuel not make the same mistakes that were made by that 3-stack in shower for the state of Lancer Gaming. But even then, it looks like we're about to have a war shower instead. It's not just one person late lurking up, late pressuring. And we'll see if these players are ready to deal with it. Utility usage a little bit early. Both paint shells getting traded. Flash at the ready. We'll see what the answers are. I mean, Orbital Strike, actually.
Good investments here, understanding everything at stake already. I mean, you knew that earlier on in that first half, we mentioned the kind of shower control that was being so important and had so much emphasis on it. But even more so, that transitions over to the other side as well. I mean, shower control is shower control. If a team wants it, they're going to fight for it on both sides of the field. So when you know that Fanshawe Fuel, they have the advantage, they have the ult, they have the gun, that's when they say, screw it, we'll take those fights every day of the week. Who is it that you're running into? Well, right now it's going to be Kaz, and you don't read Sobaz in that corner. That's a problem. You got to make sure to clear everything. And you can't just willy-nilly run in and think you can take those fights, regardless of the gun in hand.
Or the bazooka in hand, too, I guess.
Yeah, any weapon, really.
But yeah, Mink is not done. Mink's not done addressing the U-Haul kind of hold here.
Of course.
But the repercussion is Soba's like staying alive as they get Kaz back up to full HP here. So a 4v3. No ground really gained by either side, but Kaz taking out the star player here for buying this huge, unless Jakey has something to say about it. They should have known they were close.
Well
they had taken out the wingman. And with 15 seconds left, all they have to do is play spoiler here. They can play spoiler, but only 2 bullets left. I mean, they're just gonna let the plan happen. This is like a worst case scenario in my mind.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I'm swinging for death there. Just try to get that spike off. And give Voice enough time to go ahead and get on to site. You're playing for the 1v1, then the spike is a down. You're just playing clock at that point. But already, still JKG, add the read. You got the Viper's Pit. And this is a very ballsy play to come through to kind of expect this to be that cash in that's going to work out for you.
I'm just more concerned that JKG has 11 bullets right now, total in their gun. But the lineup. And that makes quick work of that retake strategy. And once again, Lancer Gaming does not go down without a fight here on this second map. They know it'll tarnish their record that is currently undefeated. And I'm surprised that we're not seeing a Fanshawe Fuel timeout right now, to be completely honest. But I know some of these collegiate teams like to take their later timeouts when they're either tied or, you know, even if they're kind of up against the wall. And since they're up to Fanshawe Fuel thinking that, you know, a thrifty strategy, they're at least going to throw their heads against the wall, which is AK, run it down A short. Why not? If you hit your shots, you hit your shots. It's like scratching a lottery ticket.
And even then, I mean, this is the round to do it, right? I mean, when we thought about going for timeout, better to take the timeout after this round, going into the rifle round, and just go ahead and speed up this round. Speed up the eco and just see if it gives yourself anything, whether kind of taking a shot in the dark. Doesn't really hurt you at the end of the day. It's the best thing you can really work for here. The rest of the team probably just going to be going ahead, talking a little bit as we see boys trying to surround something and immediately getting shut down. This will be the point where you kind of want to take a timeout if things just didn't really work out for you. Because you understand, it's the rounds, no big deal. It's going to be a loss. Our ecos have looked good, but when they don't high school at this point, and even they know this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's to the point where we could give this to a sample size of middle schoolers. They know this map. And elementary schoolers are probably learning it as we speak. But, I mean, still, it's the thing where it's always the same. It's fine, though. It's fine. It's fine. It's at least a decider. It's not the first. Nobody picked it. Because usually we get the collegiate special where a team picks this map and then loses it. But that's just with the other maps rather than this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the decider, so makes sense here. Kaz, we talked about it, that over-aggression could be their undoing, but this round it provides the first blood, shutting down the counter duelist, which we knew was an issue on Split. It weakens your entry or your retake into a site. Now Lugen trying to bat through the dark cover here on the A site, but it's Kaz again, the perfect rotation, the perfect frag. You know, they're on par for an ace at this point, but the right clicks don't have anything to say about it. Paranoia not well placed in that regard, and just the rest of the players coming to Kaz's aid to get the defuse, to get the pistol here for Lancer Gaming.
Round number one, a duelist initially dying right off the get-go, and you don't really have too much of an entry. You still find yourself some leeway on site, though. Can't let that happen. We saw how it works for Lancer Gaming on Split, and, well, we saw what happened when they fixed that exact problem. Saying, okay, well, our duelist always died first. Let's just switch who is playing the duelist. Put them on more of a leash or just let them go absolutely insane. And there it is. Kaz once again waking up, showing once again that, well, momentum can matter. It can do wonders, but it's still going to be on the same player, and it's going to be on the same role, more importantly, allowing that aggression to still have a catalyst, have a kit, back it up, and have a team to really set them up and boost them to that pedestal they so much deserve.
And now, I love this eco strategy. They know Kaz likes to get aggressive mid, so maybe they're expecting to have a trap play on them here when there's 4 players combat it, but just the alarm bot waiting on the other side of this go around. So they get pretty safe passage into the B site. Paranoia as well, forcing both players back into CT so they can't punish with better weapons. Missed timing as well from the Owl drone. It provides walk, not one, but 2 frags off the distraction. Mink is able to steal frag away. So suddenly a 4v3 here. But once again, better weapons for these 3 players for Lancer Gaming. Low HP for 2 of the squad as well. And with no heals to be seen, it is what it is here in terms of HP. Let's see if they can hold on for dear life as the clock ticks away. Oh.
Easy picking so far, at least. On the silver platter, but the problem is Walk is still alive on site. Double ding with Sheriff to play with. Still, Fanshawe Fuel showing that they are not done just yet. A round once more when the odds are stacked against them. They show up and they come to play. But it's again these early rounds, and you're saying, well, where was that last map when it mattered most? What happened to the ecos that you just kind of so consistently found on Split? Where was all of this on Bind? And but maybe they found it again. We have a lot more game to go to really find that out.
This is true. And because that was an anti-eco that they just won, Fanshawe Fuel picking up some hero rifles here. We'll see how they're able to leverage them, because if they don't and they lose this, that would be another counter 30 thrown right back in their face. It would be not a way to start building up that kind of reserve of rounds. They know they need it once they hit that double barrier like they did on Bind, but for now, they're trying to overcome this Omen KO duo, the shock darts, ensuring that they can't push onward, can't challenge the dark cover. So for now, it's just silence until they decide to follow through on this site hit.
Slow and steady is the name of the game so far. Just waiting for anybody to kind of overextend themselves. Maybe hand over a free kill, see if a first blood is more kind of provided than fought for. But you're in a deciding game right now, and nothing's really going to give itself up, or at least shouldn't. And so far, good job from both sides. You passed the vibe check. Don't go crazy. Don't do anything unnecessary. Don't get belligerent. Just kind of play the game as it should be. Work together. See if anything can be revealed here in the meantime. But now, the attackers, your time may be coming to an end. 30 seconds left on the clock. You got to choose a side. And well, with that knife going right towards A, you know that's probably where the hit's.
But this is also where Lancer Gaming's stack is, and they're just trying to buy down the clock. Paranoia hitting the flashpoint follow-up as well, but only one frag going
10
in
seconds
favor
left.
of Lancer Gaming. So
Spike planted.
4v2 now. A
Last
little
player
high-low action
standing.
because they haven't cleared out Hell, but in the meantime, Slippery does just that. So Jakey gets their Collect Sentinel, but this much utility is still on the table with the weapons against them, and with only 50 HP. What more can they find? At this point, they have to wage. Do they want to give the ult orbs over for chance of damaging their economy? The answer is yes. They're willing to brave the threshold, but Jakey G, the protector of voice there, they get a second round on the board and keep those bigger weapons to bring in now.
Kind of a crazy trade there. I mean, I can understand maybe a KJ going for it and kind of understand that, well, my lockdown is the most expensive ultimate in the game, so I can try to go for a little bit more, maybe as a trade-off here or there, but even then, does it really work out too well, and you don't really find too much considering you have that Sheriff, and you're looking at 3 players with better guns than you. So, holding that A main area of the map, not going to really work out too well for Lancer Gaming, at least for that retake, but even then, they also didn't really have all the full rifles they wanted compared to Fanshawe Fuel. So, all things considered, I mean, looking here in the early stages, we do obviously have Sobez DCing here for a little bit as we wait for them to get back into the lobby. Things are going to start to unravel here pretty early on, especially if we see Kaz actually sticking this operator. That is absolutely wild, in my opinion. I mean, sure, you want to go ahead and kind of cover up these long lanes of the map, but look at what Kaz has done so far. This is going to be a very, very impactful round right here to let you know either this is how this guy's going to keep on playing for the rest of the game, or this is going to go ahead and kind of be a very, very quick lesson to learn to say, look, we're kind of frying on the Vandal. Why are we swapping things up? Because you don't have as much retake potential now, and quite frankly, you were the catalyst for every single push we had inside the last game. You have to make sure your initiators are really up to the task to make sure to fill those shoes in place of you when you're gone.
Yes. And, I mean, it could fix the issue we saw on Split, where if they do over-aggress, then they kind of are dead too early on, because you can always hand the operator off and still be that re-entry force on a retake. I guess that still removes a number, but you at least get to leverage that jet kit to its fullest capabilities. They're also only 2 frags away, or an orb or 2 away from the knives. So that's a great insurance policy, so that, as you mentioned, they aren't taken out of the game. So the question will be, do they try and aggress for an orb, a main, off of the operator and a KO in their pocket? Do they just hope the frags go their way and save it going forward? And that's where my kind of attention is going to be. Because as you mentioned, it is a huge investment, and when the money isn't looking as clean as it could be, compared to the side of Fanshawe Fuel, then if you lose this round, that's a 3rd and likely a 4th for the side of Fanshawe College. But regardless here, looks like we do have Sobez back in the game, so the action's going to start resuming here with that KJ Sova duo re-intact on this B site. And I was wondering, I was going to say, if they're going for the Olive, they might as well go for the Odin here.
Oh.
And what everyone knows, this is just the confirmed Clayton special at this point.
Big investment coming from both ends of the spectrum, or better yet, of the scoreboard. It's out of Lancer Gaming here, but I mean, going to be pretty big nonetheless whenever you impact in the round. It really comes down to the start here. No shroud towards the middle of the map. No crazy kind of overextensions. When you have all this expensive weaponry in your hands, that's really going to put the leash on Lancer Gaming on this defense. They're not going to overextend, and they understand if anybody dies, you're saying that's one less gun that the operator's going to have to fill the shoes for. So just let me make first contact. And if anything goes astray, make sure it happens on site.
Yeah, but it's utility from Yoma not allowing any first contact to be made just yet. I do like this read on the side of Lancer Gaming, though, placing the operator and an insurance policy here with a KO on this angle. Gonna be the paranoia, though, to barely miss. The response to suppression. No frags found, and they're not done challenging it either. They don't even need to hit Kaz. They're hit as collateral, quite literally, in that duel. So a 5v2 now. And walk one some action for themselves. The off angle achieved, but they decide off that flash it's not worth the trouble. As we said, an expensive round, an expensive investment leads to a likelier save.
Round like this, where Lancer Gaming really could afford too much, to where if you see this round fall, it's almost 2 rounds worth of buys for Fanshawe Fuel. So that's why you can see Lancer Gaming going ahead and just saying, you know what, let's cut our losses. Let's not get crazy here. Let's just kind of hold somewhere around the map, hold on to what we got, because that Odin, that KJ setup, everything's still kind of sitting relatively cozy towards that B side of the map. But you can now say we can just allocate more players towards A, triple it down again. And sure, we're not going to have the biggest guns in the world, but we still got a chance. Still got a shot. We can still just kind of hold things or even more, so just make that swap up where you have the Odin over towards B main, creating that stall, forcing a rotate, or that hero rifle of KJ to kind of go off on A. But I think they're going to go for that 3-2 split once more, but instead go for the reverse where Sova's playing towards that A site, and KJ is going to stick to their gun.
We've seen our fair share of Bucky's on bind, Mick, so we'll see if Banson can add their name to the hall of Bucky baddies, but it's interesting that they're going for this aggressive play off of one of those hero rifles here into tiles, but you said expensive gambles have they have fruitful bounties, and they had followed through, they would have found the KJ and the Sova on the other side, but also would have found the Rotaties, Boyce, and Walk now joining them here in that line of defense. Still worried about a mid presence, but realizing here very soon nothing may come out of it, so the advance towards B continues.
Placing swarm grenade.
Towards this B side, mentioned the Sova, how important it would be to kind of go ahead and pull these players, or at least delay them through that wall with that Odin still in play, but that's not going to be the case here. From the shadows, going ahead, hitting that back of boathouse, and funneling the rest of the team to go right through this B main area, but with nothing really stopping them too much, no real guns in their way. It's a very, very easy hill to go ahead and climb over, or just really more of a wall. So, getting into 4v5 for the retake, they are just knocking players down because with nobody really coming from any other direction rather than just right from spawn. Makes it an easy, flawless, and easy cleanup here for Fanshawe Field to get themselves a 4.
Whew. I mean, I did like the plans that Lancer Gaming was trying to make. It was more just the discipline and the timing from Fanshawe Fuel not syncing with that strategy and then even reflanking on their own. And I mean, my eyes definitely were on that TP play in CT from the Omen. That definitely helps out as well. Kind of isolate players and goes in 4-1 favor. Now, you can see here, Kaz, they had forced up the rifle last round, so they have the blades now. They're going to try and fake out here, trying to gather information on the mid area with Jet, while they fake a main, trying to deposit this Omen into Wine. But I think that counter KO knife is what drew the Jet here towards the A site.
Again, looking for these overextensions, the kind of slow play we saw with no catalyst towards the center of the map for a split attempt here. Know that it's going to be directly just a lot of blood being shed right here towards A main, where you already have 2 players allocated, and even the possibility of maybe Wine, if you find that first kill, still going to slow things down to some degree. You could have somebody just still kind of sitting in the midst. That knife's going to reveal enough to let you know shots are being made, players are here, and even though the paranoia doesn't land, the bullet sure as heck do for Banson there.
Yeah, I was about to say, they look like they were acting like they were paranoid, but mention does not land, so JKG trying to open up another avenue here with the 1-for-1 trade means it is a blocked passage, so 1v4 going Kaz's way there essentially in mid because they wanted to go tree, and that's exactly where Kaz was ready to shut them out, shut them down. Excellent investment from the Blades there. Gets their economy back up. Surprised we don't get to see the operator make a resurgence, but I'm expecting it in the next round if Kaz does die. If they continue this win streak that they're going to start trying to build after that 4 rounds in a row from Fanshawe Fuel. But for Fanshawe Fuel, like I said, ultimates at the ready, lockdown, Hunter's Fury, padded wallets because of their streak. And looks like they want to take that ultimate to the B site, but Killjoy's so low from the spray already that it's going to be dangerous if Sobez decides to stick out this assault here with the Odin.
Well, lockdown, going to go ahead and force players off here. Looking to kind of get it. Let's go ahead and get that Odin offside. That's Sobez. Kind of stuck to the blender just to get away from it, but already still big investments coming through just to go ahead and create that space for yourself. So Fanshawe, they're going to make an investment around like this. They got to make a read. They got to go ahead and understand that Jakey is inside Boathouse, and they sure as heck didn't do it, but they make quick work of them to go ahead and say, look, this round can't be for nothing, because good God, if you press 2 X's at least, you don't end up winning that round. Woo! It's going to be a pretty tough repeat of what we saw in Bind.
Oh, definitely. Now, all the weapons, all the utility coming in through this dark cover, but Jakey lurking there in logs, as you said, and making easy work of it. And, I mean, I feel like they really needed to flood in a little bit faster so that Jakey wasn't on an island after getting those initial frags. Like, it's like the cat's out of the bag, right? You have to start being able to support them in some way before they get refragged, before they get traded by a player like Slippery. And I mean, I love that the Odin was able to kind of provide that scare tactic to create that pocket for Jakey, but can't follow up on it, can't follow up on it. You lose another round, and suddenly you are down 3 rounds. You're back to light shields across the board. Even Sobez having to go for the Guardian because of that heavier Odin investment. Because of that, looks like a more straight fire hit coming out from Fanshawe Fuel. You know, they're starting to feel the momentum, starting to realize that they're draining the bank here for Lancer Gaming. And it looks like the Omen's really the only one in position to punish, likely trying to play actually for control of Tree with lockdown. And there it is, before Spike even gets planted.
Using it as a little bit of a delay, maybe going ahead, kind of forcing that spike to go somewhere else, or at least buying a couple more seconds on the field. Forcing these players back towards the middle of the map if they want to go for a double down, but still having a player waiting, not surrounding that kill for the back end of it is a little bit unfortunate there for the side of Lancer Gaming, because that was a play of a lifetime. You could have found maybe 1, 2, 3 off the back of it, because you already have the player set up towards that A side if you see a double down, but with that not working, no real pressure being exerted, you understand that they can kind of have that free real estate towards their side of the field now. Hit whatever site they want. We're right at square one. It has to be committed this time, considering how much time is left on the clock. So this makes an easy rotation call for the rest of the Fanshawe field to go ahead and follow up. But for Lancer Gaming, better yet, to just make sure they say if we hit 1 shot, it really matters here.
30 seconds
Oh,
left.
but Banston's gonna hit more than 1 shot. They hit 2. Jakey and Jazzy complementing it with 1 of their own. They have stopped the Fanshawe Fuel train in its tracks. And this is now where you should be able to see advantages in terms of the economy, in terms of the buy. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Ultimate's still kind of in Fanshawe Fuel's favor. Null Command, Blade Storm. And that now kind of allows a split play, right? You can use the null command to sell a site while you go towards the other, but Kaz, aware, aggressive again in the right places at the right times.
I mean, Kaz being kind of that catalyst once more, waking up, showing their impact in a game like this, but I mean, still in that last round, finding 2. Blade Storm not really being the most important thing in the world, considering, I mean, you were just kind of doing what you got to do. The Blade Storm is going to be more of an eco tool here for this Fanshawe field. You can already tell whether or not whether a Blade Storm will be kind of used for ego, or whether it'll be used for eco from either team. And already, I mean, Kaz is that guy where you're saying ego already, and still success in the rifle so far with us being on site. You're going to really kind of dictate and reevaluate where this is going to be coming from, because you had a lot of players looking back towards spawn, and now you at least have a 3-2 split. So I like to look at this. You're waiting for all that utility to come back online and help you for that retake, especially when Kaz is at the head of it.
The only one with another ego to match that of Kaz is the opposite duelist, Slippery. They paved their way into the site, but only 30 HP after their efforts. They're still the one to challenge on the reload, but simultaneously Boyce falls, and suddenly we are 1 round separating based on that flawless. And I'm going to say it, Fanshawe Fuel, I think those reserves have been diminished at this rate. I mean, they're not going to have too much in terms of weaponry. The blades will at least be online, but other than that, I mean, I would not be opposed to a timeout right now from Fanshawe Fuel.
Yep. I'm with you 110%. I mean, Fanshawe Fuel, once again, I mean, this team, they literally live up to their school name. They have fuel in the tank, and then when they burn it out, I mean, you got to see these points where they start to refuel a little bit. I mean, they got to stop at a gas station. They get to get themselves pumped right back up. And it feels like these points where they get to the full buy rounds over and over again, I'm just not really impressed with it. I like their eco rounds more than I like their full buy rounds, because I see the actual just kind of mental that goes into these kinds of rounds. I like the pacing of them a little bit more, so I like the executions. I like the kind of standstill understanding and just kind of grasp of little bits of information and culminating all of that into a singular plan and hit onto a site instead of just kind of the outright push. Because I'm not going to say they don't have the gunning prowess that Lancer Gaming has, but just seeing that kind of the way they set everything up, it doesn't feel perfect. It doesn't feel concrete. it feels like there's some wrinkles there. And I got to say, Lancer Gaming, they've been outstanding in understanding where those wrinkles are and really just slipping through the cracks there.
Oh, and here, as we see the timeout expire, we view the menace themselves, Kaz, who's been throwing issues at Fanshawe Fuel round after round. Like you said, slipping into those cracks, taking advantage of the positions, and there's the fragmented buy we spoke of. I mean, it looks like they're going to try and force it coming out of that timeout and having a plan maybe to right the sinking ship. That is their lead. But I mean, what is the answer? It looks like they want to just go more directly towards mid here. This time, no tree players, but it looks like Kaz was in a position to challenge it, was ready, expectant of this to be Tile's pressure. Now, an opportunity for Slippery to get their limelight here against Kaz, narrowly avoiding the support Sova utility. Positing themselves in this corner, but the flash is beautiful. They check the corner, but don't get the response from the gun, and with all the knives gone, Kaz just is unleashed. There's not much now to challenge them in this round. I mean, yes, you have Dash G top mid and a swarm grenade in their face, but I mean, that might be enough. I'm being called a liar.
Yeah, kind of wild that battle still pursues, but understanding you have numbers. I mean, kind of crazy that the timeout that we're seeing in the curveball being thrown afterwards is just going to be right down the middle. Understandable to a certain degree that Lancer could read that, and I mean, there's nothing really else available for you. Where, sure, timeouts don't really have to call for innovation. They don't have to call for adaptation. They can always just be a little bit of a resting point. Check point for your team to just say, look, go ahead and
30
try
seconds
this
left.
again. Iron things out. But still, it's not really the case so far. Or retake trying to go underway, or not even a retake, just a delay, trying to go ahead and be executed from the spawn side, right from the B spawn. And I mean, the 1v3 scenario, you're gonna spray, you see the bullet trails, you understand exactly where they are for easy little cleanup here for Lancer Gaming. So Fanshawe not really finding all the most use out of that last timeout, and Lancer Gaming saying, you know what, we appreciate one of our own because we knew you were gonna go mid. It was the easiest read of our lives, and we honestly just talked about the rest of the game.
No, they just took a breather, you know. They're like, all right, Kaz, just keep killing. And with a sturdy buy below them, I'm not surprised that we see Kaz able to lean into the operator. I was about to say Kazerator because, you know, they might as well own that weapon at this point. 11-6. We'll see what they can find here on B main, but it looks like it's another mid effort that's going to come out. And they don't have support to break the Killjoy turret either, so they might be clued into the operator if they decide to fully invest into that peak. But for now, once again, they liked the mid pressure that they had in the previous round. Obviously, just some shots stripping away the opportunity, so they're willing to try here again.
Well, moving up the mid, at least 2, 3 of these players. 2 for Catwalk, 1 for possibly Market. See the investment of the smoke. They understand that the player's there. The alarm bot, give them the call to go ahead and throw one of those bubbles up. Still around the map, slow and steady we go. Couple rifles in the hands of Fanshawe Fuel. Big ultimate in that lockdown. Still a counter waiting in that Hunter's Fury. So you're just kind of you're forcing an opportunity to kind of take out of the game more than that attack play. Still, good trade being made towards Wine. It lets you know this A hit may go through. Knowing there's 40 seconds, you're gonna go. It needs to be now, and they're already on.
Yeah, and amazing utility to not only pin down Benson, but ensure that Sobez is not able to support them there from heaven, not able to bail them out. So a 4v3 here. It does have the Hunter's Fury online, does have the Blades online if they want throw those into the mix to make sure that that operator again isn't tying down the squad, but can't really see yet. You know, there is the operator still, didn't abandon it for a Vandal, but I mean, when this dark cover is allowing them to apply consistent pressure, it's like one player subs in, tags in here. Now with no tailwind, no get out of jail free card either. They're just leaning into Jakey to get frag after frag. Almost a 360 attempt though on to walk required, and this duo is able to get the job done, able to secure a 6th
round in the half.
Mick, I still wouldn't even be surprised if we see a 6-6 half here.
I mean, it's still expected, right? I mean, that's kind of the baseline. When you look at this map, you're expecting teams to hit 6-6 minimum. And on this map, anything more, it just kind of shows, like, those definitive, this team is better. But, I mean, to this game, it's a lot more important. matters, I'd say, a lot more than what you typically see just because of how it plays out. This map, everybody knows it. It comes on the adaptations, and if you kind of do that on a round-to-round basis, it's going to mean a lot here. Oh my god, that was... Yeah, I know you didn't mean to go in that direction. That's wild.
Yeah, and once again, the duelist is out. But once again,
Yes.
that's the cost of these high-risk, high-reward plays. Might lose your life, might lose a round. But 4-on-4, I'm expecting them to not try and invest this lockdown to take the site, but it might just be the safer bet in this situation because I mean they don't know where they think that Sova's on B site, so Fish Fairy may not reach far enough as they try and rotate over to get close enough to deny it. And it's gonna come in, but it's a little bit too late. The damage has been done, the site's been taken. You see Lucan trying to deny, but they're detained. So they're dropped. Now it's 3v2. Jakey's close enough, but they have to wait for the rotation now. That was slowed down because of that Hunter's Fury investment.
Planted.
This last round of the half, you're going to at least try it. Jakey was close last round. Now they have somebody without an operator to tie them down. So my eyes are on walk to see if they can stop this attempt before it occurs. But it's Jakey G, actually, the Killjoy death potentially. Not even the Killjoy death, the Jakey did.
What?
And a 3K to secure the lead before the half.
It's a little double swing there to go ahead and top things off as
Switching
well. From an
sides.
angle you're not really expecting too much as well. I mean, just go ahead and deviate that attention somewhere. Fanshawe Fuel obviously got a little bit left here to work with, but I mean, it comes down to that consistency that we saw earlier on, or at least during the, funny enough, the entire first half of the series. Like the entirety of that first map, then the first half of the second map, and then kind of just really dwindled down from there. So, I mean, they got a name in this half. For sure, they got a good couple, but it really comes down to increasing their odds, putting more and more in there, and just kind of showing that they're not falling asleep at the wheel. Because seeing how they're playing this, their shines of success are really good. They're really shining. It's a needle in a haystack. It's a diamond in the rough. But at Lancer Gaming, they're just kind of seeming a little more concrete. While sure, they're not pretty at the end of the day, they're looking strong just overall, and you can tell that, I mean, they are just really polished just across the field and kind of be used in anything. But a pistol round, this is where things get rough once more. They get really scratchy, they get really down and dirty. You're seeing where you can really just kind of manage something. To go ahead and get a first blood there for the side of Lancer Gaming once more towards that B main area. You know, you had that real estate, you know that you had that control, and honestly, you don't even have to use it because, well, everybody else is going right towards market. They're just trying to see if anybody wants to extend and play for a trade. They can cut them off in the meantime.
But that's the one thing about Lancer Gaming is they're decisive, right, in these plays. I mean, they've taken this mid control without much contest. The question is, can they finish off what they've started? The nice little suppression there, so Slippery isn't feeling confident enough to take the fight, to take the exchange, but even then, Jakey G is on the other side of the site, ready to challenge through this swarm grenade. They get the timing off the flash, the right click's coming through, but out of bullets, Jakey finally shuts them down, but damage is done. It's a 2v3 with Jakey so low. This should be
30 seconds
around
left.
4 Fanshawe Fuel, unless Benson has something to say about it. Look.
Cover going out.
Really comes down to timing here. Already throwing out the smoke. They have the timing here. Nobody's going to push through.
Remaining.
And one by one, knock them down, or at least two, and back up. I did my job. I got 2. There's 2 more on site. I just got to knock this guy down. I'm going to make a rotation eventually, or I may just double down from that spot, but with a little bit of an idea where they're coming from, with that recon dart just sniffing out Slippery, you're not slipping out anywhere. You are just going to have to take these fights, and you're going to have to make sure to take them quick, because that clock is ticking. You can't hold market all day. You got to push for that spike eventually, and, well, there's Sobej playing ring around the rosy with you, saying, win or lose, that clock's got you.
It does, and that is a round and a tied game here. I am lying to you because I did not see that the point already went in favor of Lancer Gaming and was expecting it to go up to 7-7 on the scoreboard, but 7-6 pistol on the round is huge regardless for Lancer Gaming because now they can get these weapons online and fight towards that 7-7. But we've seen these thrifty counterplays, these kind of out of the blue kind of ideas that come from their IGL, and they are creative enough to kind of surprise the side of Lancer Gaming. We'll see if that's happening here, especially when there's a 5-stack now flooding towards Kaz, who is sporting a Marshall of all things, but with the recon and intel not gathering anything, actually a full rotation from both squads here, right? They realize that the force coming and barreling at them on the A site, so you rotate towards B, but with no information, you also see the forces of Fanshawe Fuel rotating over. So Stinger Squad, Sheriff Squad, you name it, it is here. Nice suppression as well to ensure that they can't punish too effectively, but there's a little bit of a division here on the retake. Better weapons trying to make it work for them. One after another.
Oh my
And it's actually
god.
the pistols
Yeah,
for
we
Lansing
can.
Gaming to come out on top.
Over and over. I mean, just making sure this thing stays as even as humanly possible. I mean, just finally, once again, hitting that 2-round kind of start. That's nice to see. We're ironing things out. We're making sure not to deviate or do anything crazy. We're seeing the typical Valorant action. And you know what that means? If we go ahead and see a 2-round start, we're expecting the third to go in the opposite direction. We're hoping this kind of goes back and forth, and we see rifles out of everybody in round 4. Who honestly knows? I mean, these two teams, the way they've been really going at it, it feels like they're kind of making exchanges with each other. Not really trading rounds, not sandbag anything, but it kind of feels like, make this one interesting. And you know what? I got you. We will. The next one is just saying, well, we made the last one interesting. It's your turn. And that just does not happen. Saying, appreciate the free round. We'll go into the next one. We'll make it worth it. And now singing a point like this, fighting for make control, that's something that Fanshawe didn't really do too much because it didn't work out for them. They wanted to go for the A execs. They wanted to go for the B fights. They wanted to take these early picks and just kind of wait for somebody to overextend over these big walls and corners. But now, moving at the middle, Lancer's about to teach Fanshawe how to really play the center of the map.
And Sobas trying to steal away the middle of the map, pave the rotation point over to the A site, but equally matched Fanshawe Fuel here. Have 3 in heaven ready to hopefully flood back in, but Block steals one off, trims one off the top here, gets out of dodge and scathe. And my only concern here is that Jet is late to the party, so we're gonna be leaning into these 3 more so with the timer ticking away. And information collected as well, so they can reposition accordingly. Now Mollies are even on the spike, so a post-plant strategy in place. They're definitely taking their time for Fanshawe Fuel, which is scary.
It really just comes down to here, I mean, with playing of time, Fanshawe here a very, very easy way. There's just not too much they really had to give, quite frankly. No one they had the rifle advantage. They just kind of threw bodies at the problem, and you saw them really take the hit for that. No one, I mean, only remaining with 2 players at the end of it. It's kind of been the norm for the entire series. And knowing that Lancer Gaming can pull that off after only really having Bulldogs and Spectres, it's a good look for them. You're expecting in the next round, you're saying, okay, we should have something, right? Knowing that everybody has full rifles, we should be able to kind of mow down those last 2 players, or more importantly, just kind of knock them off right in the get-go. But this is where we're going to have to see Kaz really step things up, because Jakey, being that top fragger for that entire first half, or not for the entirety of it, but kind of taking it there towards the lead at the end, Kaz is who you're really saying, okay, now it's your time to step up once more. So, Bez, you don't really have your opportunity on the defense. I understand you're Sova. You're supposed to spray through a wall with a note. That's your job. Hate to tell you, but that's your label. It's given to you. You kind of have to do it. But everybody else now, you're saying, all right, this is where you're supposed to kick into high gear. This is where these executes are going to have to look clean. This is where we're going to have to flash and get the recon darts to really start synergizing and overwhelm these sites and let Kaz really get set up. And not having that Yoru, I don't know how that's really going to go. We saw the aggression on the defense. We saw the operator pushes. We saw that very unfortunate W press with the tailwind rather than when you want to move backwards. We're not really going to forget that, Kaz, as much as I hate to say it. But you got to understand of really where do you want to take these hits? And are you going to do it correctly? Because you're so across the map. Sure, that's going to fake something out for you, but you already have control of the middle of the map from Fanshawe saying, it's a fake. They're more than likely going to be towards that A side.
Yeah, I mean, I was concerned that the rotation was going to be right into Slippery there. Who is Slippery is going to try and isolate this Sova knowing that the B site's a fake. But I think that's why we're seeing reservation on the lockdown. And now even a rotation, so the A is actually going to be the fake. But my concern here is I believe Spike is going to be down on tiles by the end of this round.
30 seconds
if Slippery has their way. And with less than 30 seconds left, they think B is clear because of where this Sova is. Jakey has the discipline to check, and they cross over unscathed, so mad dash now here. And even with Slippery dealt with, they should be secured a plant, and suddenly, this is a winnable round by Lancer Gaming,
10 seconds
despite the indecision. And
Spike
it's just
planted.
one player after another for Lancer Gaming winning these individual duels. Now, 4v3. 2 players here at CT. Voice trying to apply pressure elsewhere, draw attention for those CT players. Some utility already being baited out as well to kind of appease that CT pressure to force Mink out of that recon collection. And it's just shredding them to pieces here. And they haven't even addressed Lucan, who's main, so it's, I mean, Mink, 26 HP, not much they can do, except, no, yeah, nothing much they can do. That's the end of it. We're tied 8 yet again.
Answer once more. I mean, it's Ascent. What can you really expect too much of? Just besides these teams going ahead and dishing it out back and forth. But this is the point where we actually get to see Lancer Gaming maybe find themselves a lead, considering the buys aren't going to go in Fanshawe Fuel's advantage too much. Looking at the economy, obviously JKG being at the top of the leaderboard, not even having a Vandal to work with, and just kind of hanging off the back of that Sheriff. It comes down to holding down the site, and you're playing towards the A area of the map, not B. You're not looking towards this back boathouse kind of lineup, headshot, easy one shot. Range you're working with. You're kind of going out towards the open. You're working around your utility, and you're hucking yourself right up against that wall as soon as the round starts. And, well, Knife's going to go ahead and force you to move back a little bit. Right back to your crate, your little cozy home that is that A site. But will it force you all the way back to your spawn? Because, well, you're eventually going to learn that that may have been where you need to stand. Looking at Lancer Gaming was just doing this to scare you off. Get you to back up. Give yourself a little bit of real estate so that Omen can kind of just sit around. You just wait it out on site. And, well, once again, they're going to go possibly right up the middle of the map because they've been doing a much better job of taking control of it.
Yes, and that indication of that better job is the thoroughness, right? Slippery forced it out of their corner that they really wanted to take advantage of by that drone. Now they're flashed as well because of the coordination with the KO, but Mink able to bail them out, completely stall out the pressure, so the repivot is in towards Tree. We're gonna have to see if Bansing can go huge here. We're gonna turn away for Tree push. Instead, they turn away from themselves, and it's still not enough to get the frag on Voice, who now becomes an issue here in main. They'd rather play their life. They'd rather not get flooded by these last remaining players, who each, by the way, have ultimates to work with here. So the first in, second is going to be sat on here potentially, but Slippery is willing to challenge it. Turret the wrong way as well, so there's no way they can destroy it because of the safety of Generator. I like Sobiz's attempt. I like Minkus' attempt, but now it's 2v2 where your KO's the slow, and you've given Soba the chance to get off site. I didn't even realize that Slippery was detained!
I mean, it's just an awkward situation here for Slippery. Not understanding things there, barely kind of getting past it. Trying to go ahead and get right back on site. Spike is taking it by the time you even get on site. Yeah, you're just running it down, really. You're looking for an opportunity, but it's not going to present itself. And, well, you're hoping for a little bit of leeway, or at least some fights to take. You just take the first spot, and it's just not going to be the case. Lancer Gaming, we knew that round was more than likely going to be theirs. But still, remember, at the end of the round, you still have 2 players remaining. It is just the fact that we are, no matter what, able to go ahead and cut off a majority of the squad, but just not finish the job. It's by a narrow margin on every single one, to where you got to, I would say, bring a little bit more warranted aggression that's set up. Just find that extra player on site. To maybe find that one player and cut off the rotate or cut off the retake, at least one body there, because we're missing that every single time.
They are, but hasn't been missing his initiator utility. Although it lands, Jakey and Kaz are too clean this half. They are online. They are taking names. The only one contesting is the other Jakey here, deciding if it's worth it in a 2v4 to invest this lockdown. And I mean, when you're one round trailing, it does become a huge question. I love, though, the late round lurk around from the Sova, but the alarm bot's there, so that'll play spoiler, potentially, yeah. So, I mean, at this point, you consider, like, trying to find a handle over that Guardian and saving, but even then, I don't think Sobaz or the rest of the team wants this to occur. They're ready for their exit picks challenge back out of the site. And I was gonna say it's beautiful, but JKG
One enemy remaining.
dashing the economy a little bit before Sobaz can bail them out from spawn.
Cleaning up, you can see the confidence just being completely different now from the side of Lancer Gaming. They're going to kind of go ahead and close everything up. Understand that this series has been long and tumultuous for them, but I mean, is at this point now where you're saying, all right, it's time to go ahead and close the garage door. Let's get this thing under wrap, because I mean, you can just see that the way they're pushing these sites, where they're executing, they just know that they have the advantage, and closing off and ending the entirety of the day on this attacking side, saying, as long as we can go ahead and push it fast, I don't know if they can really match our speed now. It's a game of stamina to a certain degree, and so long as you can just kind of speed up and hit that finish line first, they can't meet that at this point. Still, Slippery, try to go ahead, bring that same amount of speed here off the kick at the start of a round. Can't really do too much considering that you got enough players that have vandals and rifles just kind of mowing you down for the back of spawn. And that overextension from the defense won't really surmount too much. As you see in 11, I mean, that double-digit chokehold that we saw really just haunt Fanshawe on that last map. It doesn't even touch Lancer Gaming because it's an app.
Now, the 3v2, and comparing the ultimates on the board. I mean, at this point, it does feel like JKG is trying to drag the rest of the team with them towards that victory. But one round away, Lancer Gaming is from securing a 12A series point here for a reverse sweep attempt. And I mean, Slippery did pick up the operator, but they haven't been able to find the same impact here as Kaz. The read's just falling flat here a little bit. But I think this is going to be a good indication how this round goes. Kaz and JKG about to clash. And these two are kind of the star players, one our eyes have been on for each team for a reason. JKG walking away with the frag, now forcing Spike out of mid, forcing a replacement player to try and take that duel. I mean, if you know where JKG is, I feel like you should be avoiding it, but Sobaz seems to be confident. Let's see if that confidence is punished.
Well, I mean, even then, it's just more so the kind of the numbers disadvantage you're already looking at across the whole. I mean, you know the JKG's there, and it's the same situation as Kaz typically. You saw the shoulder. So that's an easy, at least, kind of pseudo-prune that underway, but you don't know about the second player, but you get somebody just kind of going ahead, watching and saying, we need to execute on this site. The closed door, fight going down, you have time, you have opportunity, you don't really have numbers, and you don't have utility either because of the no commands. So this is a good call coming out from the side of Fanshawe to just kind of go ahead and get aggressive, but it may be too aggressive considering the Band's attempt to knock down two players back towards tree. We're looking back towards side. No one has an operator. You know one has a Phantom. You expect the operator to slam you at a distance like that, but no, sir. The Phantom is what does it. Getting that fight once more.
You're kidding.
Vance and swinging once. Not
Why
ready
do you
for the
swing while
second.
you're reloading? Why do you swing while you're reloading is the question. But the answer is, I guess they want to give a round over to Fanshawe Fuel. They want to make sure they have a chance at a comeback. I mean, 11-9. Like, they knew they were off the spike, right? I feel like they heard it.
I couldn't remember really whether or not. Well, they like jiggled it to some degree. But wasn't really there like, okay, they're gonna go back. I mean, the spike was just plenty. You had all the time in the world. Just gonna go ahead and keep jiggling that. Still have at least half, and by the time, say, if they do stick it, the reload goes through. Into the night nerves starting to haunt these players, I'm guessing.
It's getting late here on East Coast, but main player that was the hero on the last map, opening things up here. But it's quickly wrestled back. They had to deal with Walk next here in boat. I don't know if they'll be expecting the judge, and they clearly do not. Vance in the first victim, and they just throw themselves after it, one after another, and now reinforcements arrive. Now Sobas is in a 1v3 with an operator even staring them down here, quite literally, as the headshot follows through. And now Fanshawe Fuel is the one to reach double digits themselves. One round again, separating these two teams.
Hit the boathouse, welcome to the doghouse. I mean, a couple kills going through there, making it easy sleazy there for the likes of Fanshawe Fuel. But I mean, knowing that, well, Lancer Gaming could have literally closed out that game. I mean, that could have worked out perfectly for them in that last round. But I mean, just because they didn't end up winning it, because they just didn't take their fights when necessary, they lost a couple early bloods, just kind of thinking momentum was going to carry them. There's going to be adjustments eventually. You need to kind of, I would say, slow down for the start of the season, but afterwards everything else may be warranted. But speaking of speed, it's not really favored here. There's a lot of questionable things going on here. You may find yourself a utility kill to compensate for it. So, I mean, there's something.
One enemy remaining.
But I mean, you can't let the Ares be hitting shots like this. Just like you can't be letting a Guardian, which Jakey provided one, quickly traded by a Slippery with the operator. And We're tied here again. I was messaging Boyce because Boyce said sorry we threw map 2, but they definitely are trying to make up for it now, trying not to, you know, throw map 3 here, trying to give us a close game, and trying to ensure this doesn't go to OT, which, you know, if it does, then I may have a few words for Boyce. No, I'm joking. But Mink keeping the Ares here, I think, is the funniest choice. I mean,
exactly.
I think they've been just as lethal with that weapon as some of these others in the game. And you can see clearly Lancer Gaming wants nothing to do with it here, avoiding the B site like a plague, heading towards the A site. But Fanshawe Fuel's response is to rotate quickly over there.
It's just one of those things where we're just questioning everything by Lancer right now. I mean, no offense to this team. I mean, I get rolled 10 times out of 10 by them if I'm facing them, but still, it's just these small little things here where it's not gameplay errors that's going on right now. It's fundamental error. It's little things that are just taking place in these gunfights where you're saying, don't swing into this, or you need to understand that, okay, that player was called and you can't let that happen, and you don't need to be swinging while completely running and not stopping and thinking that the site's going to be clear. It's just the small things that just kind of feels like Valorant on its base you would already know. And it's kind of looking a little sloppy to some degree. But regardless, Fanshawe Field, they'll take it. They will turn this inch into a mile. They'll appreciate every last thing you give them because they did the same exact thing on Bind. So now it's what we're saying. It's not locking things up. It's not ending games. It's bringing equilibrium. And it comes down to these kinds of really, really nitty-gritty spots where you're saying, this is now a tie game. Sure, the buys aren't all there for Lancer Gaming, but you still manage to get yourself a first blood. You know an operator is sitting somewhere around this map so you don't overextend. Set up for post and wait for them to swing into you.
Oh, swing into them does occur. Not patient enough to wait for the team to destroy the turret. I like Sobez with these utility. I like the lockdown as well here, but the response met, the aggression met by Kaz, but only an Ares on the other side of it. So a 3v2 here now. Gonna be the shorty follow-up attempted here by Slippery, but Boyce trying to bait these players back towards the site. Jakey makes quick work of them. The knife battle ensues, knowing they can't get the round, and Kaz jet dipping on all levels, even the base one of Knife Fight.
Match point.
And that's really what it comes down to right there. Just going ahead before the day wrapped up, I'm sure we were all kind of wondering what that would look like to some degree between the two duelists. So they had to settle that, had to make sure the law was laid down. But the Lancer game, they'd be pulling that round out once more. Pie's not really all there, but they couldn't really care less. They still make it work. It's really good look for them, but still, Slippery now looking to kind of maybe buy that op, maybe buy guns for somebody else, because you know that you're going to have an arsenal as best you can across the entire field. No ultimates available. Hunter's Fury for the side of Lancer Gaming. I mean, they have all the cards playing here in their favor. They just have to do it. Have to finish. It's one last opportunity. Otherwise, you get to the point where, uh-oh, womp womp, you go again.
You do, but Slippery trying to be the hero that is needed. Quickly shut down, though. I was going to compliment Mink for upgrading from the Ares to the Odin, but hasn't found too much of an impact here just yet, as Spike is on the rotation again through tree to A site. It's usually uncontested unless Jakey has something to say about it, but they are the one on the B site this round. So Sobez making quick work of a Boyce, now a 4v3 unfolding in the late round as Plant will go through. Nothing in position to contest it just yet. Paranoia catching Jakey off. Swarm Grenade, though, drawing the attention further on them. They need to make quick work of them here before... I mean, they need to, like, not focus too much on Jakey here.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Jakey G, like, they're putting all the pressure on them to get towards this site. Nice rotation A main, but it'll be a later issue to deal with now. Know where Kaz is. They give the solo fights to every single player. And just like that, no overtime, robbed away again from